Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Paramagurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. So we're continuing on with our discussion of Hari Bhakti Vilas. And we were about to discuss the Homa, or the fire sacrifice, which is done during Diksha. So, Diksha Homa Vidhi. So it says, the process of performing a fire sacrifice at the time of initiation. In preparation for performing a fire sacrifice for initiation, one should sweep the whole area with a broom made of kusha grass. One should start sweeping from the southeast while chanting the Vayu Bij mantra. The Vayu Bij mantra is for the wind is Yam. Yam. After sweeping, one should sprinkle water all over while chanting the Varuna Bij mantra, which is Vam. So then one should throw mustard seeds on the ground, chanting the Astra mantra. The Astra mantra is usually Astraya Pat. Well, we can look in if we can look and see if it's mentioned anything different in the commentary. What is it? It's 85.
In Pancharatra there's also Viryaya Astraya Patte.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking. Yeah. In the commentary, it mentions the Vayu Bij. It mentions it doesn't exactly say what they are. I guess you're supposed to know. It just says Astra mantra. In the translation, I'm reading from Haridas Shastri's edition. In the translation, it also doesn't really say. It just says Astra mantra. Okay, so we don't exactly know, but it could be Omastraya Pat, or it could be Mahastraya Pat, or it could be Viryaya Astraya Pat. I think probably it's not Viryaya Astraya Pat. That's usually in Pancharatra, that's usually used Viryaya because Virya, Teja, Bala, Aishwarya, Jnana, and Kriya and Shakti, all these are different. The six main attributes or energies of God. Usually, those are used in Pancharatra, but in Hari Bhakti Vilas, we don't usually see those. So then sprinkle these mustard seeds with the Astra mantra. So Astraya Pat is enough, probably, or Om Astraya Pat, probably. After that, one should sprinkle Panchagavya. Panchagavya is, of course, a mixture of cow dung, cow urine, milk, yogurt, and ghee, in certain proportions, not in equal proportions necessarily. Okay. After that has been done, one should worship the predominating deity of the earth. Now, if we look at the Sanskrit here, it says Madhye Sampujayet Vastu. It means we should worship the Vastu. We should do Vastu Puja. So Vastu Devata has to be worshipped, right? So we can see in the Sanskrit that these things are there. Sarprasham means mustard seed. Samproksha Panchabihi means Panchuhi Gavaihi, the 5 things of the cow. And Sampujayat Vastu means worship Vastu. After worshipping the Vastu, then it says you should worship the directional deities, the Dikpals, right? There are 10 Dikpals. I don't think in the Sanskrit it mentions 10. So sometimes people worship less than 10, maybe, but usually if it's the Dikpals, it's 10. It means north, south, east, and west, in between north, south, east, and west, and up and down. So, okay, continuing on. Next, one should purify the sacrificial pit by sprinkling water on it with kusha grass. So probably you did some sort of kalasha or kumbha puja, you created some holy water and you sprinkled that, or punya vachanam, and you sprinkling that on the sacrificial pit. Thereafter, one should draw circles and wheels on the ground. Soshanadi. Soshanadi idini means Soshana Dahana Plavana. So here, they've described sprinkling water, but it says Soshanadi. Soshana, Dahana, and Plavana. Soshana means drying. Dahana means burning. And Plavana means nectarizing. So, which are usually done with the Vayu Bij, yum, the Agni Bij, rum, and the Varuna Bij, vam. Okay? And then Yoni Adi, starting with the Yoni. The Yoni is the part of the kunda right in front of the person who's offering into the fire. There's a triangular shape, with the triangle pointing to the middle of the kund, a triangle shaped area right in front of the person who's offering the fire into the fire. That's called the Yoni. Next, one should purify. Okay. Thereafter, one should draw circles and wheels on the ground. I'm not sure if that's correct. It says Sahitam Mandalam Likit, make a mandala. Then continue on to text 87. It talks about Sri Vijam. Sri Vijam here, it actually means Sri Bijam, or the seed. The seed Sri or Shrim is the seed mantra, a Bija mantra. So further on, it says that one should write the Shri Bija, which is Shrim, in the middle of the sacrificial kunda, and sprinkle purified water with kusha grass. Okay. Now it may be Shri Madhyonau. Okay. So to me, this means you should write Shrim. I'm not sure about this. Some people, they write Shrim in the middle of the kunda and sprinkle it. But here it seems to say, to me, that Shrim should be written in the Yoni. Right? The Yoni is a triangle shaped area, and it represents the feminine energy, or the goddess Lakshmi, and therefore we write Shrim there, and we sprinkle that. And the reason for that is that we consider the fire to be like the Vishnu, the mouth of Vishnu, but Vishnu is also accompanied by Lakshmi. So Lakshmi is also there. Lakshmi and Vishnu are both there, and what we do is when we sprinkle the Shrim, this is considered to be like the Ritu Shnanam of Lakshmi. That Lakshmi, after the menstrual cycle, the women take a bath where they completely take a head bath and they take a full body bath like that after they finish their monthly menses. So this washing of the Shrim Bij, right, in the Yoni, like that, is like that. So then she becomes qualified to be part of the sacrifice with Vishnu, and therefore we're worshipping Lakshmi and Vishnu like that, as in the fire. That's the meaning, the inner meaning of the placing of the Shri Bij here. Tatra Lakshmi Mitu Shnatam Vishnum Cha Avahya Pujayet. Right? So we're going to worship Lakshmi and Raina after Lakshmi's had her Shnanam. Okay, so then one should write the Shrim Bij in the middle of the sacrificial kunda. I think it should be in the middle of the Yoni. Okay. Anyway, sprinkle purified water on it with kusha grass, right? So you take a kusha grass or a kurcha or something and sprinkle it. then one should take full blades of kusha grass and place it there. Okay, that's probably an explanation of. It's probably an explanation of when you paristarna in Agni Mukham or in Kusandika. Kusandika means laying of kusha grass. So it's the beginning of a fire sacrifice. You lay kusha grass around, and so that's probably speaking about that. Then one should place full blades of kusha grass and place them there. You have to put kusha grass around four blades of kusha grass around each side. And then to the north of the fire, you also keep 12 blades of kusha grass on which you keep certain vessels for doing the rest of the Agni Mukham. The priest should then invite Lakshmi and Vishnu and worship them. Before doing so, he should happily bring some fire from the house of an Agnihotri. So you get some fire is brought. There's somebody is keeping a sacred fire. If not, then you bring it from the kitchen, or you also can bring it from, have the lamp. If you have a standing lamp, you can take that in the temple, or if you have a standing lamp here at the puja, you can take a light from that and you can put it in the kunda. So this is all standard method of starting a fire sacrifice called Agni Mukham. So before doing so, you should happily bring some fire from the house of an Agnihotri, somebody who keeps the fires going, the Vedic fires going morning and evening. The original Vedic fire is called Garhapatya. It's kept by the householder. The word Garhapatya and Grihasta, it means the household fire. And worship it with flowers and other paraphernalia. So this is common in Kusandika or in Agni Mukham, where you're offering different items on the standila or the homakunda, like that, at the beginning of Agni Mukham. He should meditate on the fire as the semen of Lord Vishnu. As the semen of Lord Vishnu. Reto Rupam. Reto Rupam. Right? That Vishnoho Samkridaha Shriyaha means Vishnu is sporting with Lakshmi, and the fire is the semen of Vishnu. So after he should worship the fire as well as the kunda by chanting the sacred syllable Om. Kundam Tarena Charchayet. Cha'archayet means he worships. Tara with Tara, the word Tara means the syllable Om, the pranava. Tara. Can mean other things too, but usually means a mystic monosyllable. Continuing on. Okay, so after installing the fire in this way, one should put more purified wood onto it while chanting mantras such as the Vaishvanara. So Vaishvarana, it says here Vaishvanara iti mantrena. So there's a mantra, Agni Gayatri, Vaishvanaraya vidmahe lali laya dhimahe tanno agni prachodayate, right? This is probably the mantra which is being discussed. But again, we can look in the commentary and we can see if there's any mention of the mantra. I'm not seeing exactly a mention of the mantra, but we can look it up in the Vedic concordance. Yeah, in the commentary, of course, to verse 89, it does says Tarena Pranavena. So Pranavena, the Pranava, Omkara, Mum Agnim, Pranavena. Pranavena, Tarena means Pranavena. Means by the syllable Om. Right? It's probably talking about placing the sacrificial fire, chanting Om Bhurva Savaha. But it could mean something else. Okay, so anyway, in text 90, we're talking about installing the fire. After installing the fire in this way, we should offer some more wood into the fire with this mantra, Vaishvanara mantra. After this, one should fan the fire. It's called Agni Prajwalya. Fan the fire either with a fan or with a blowing through the brahmatirtha of the hand, or blowing through a bamboo pipe or a metal pipe, in order not to get saliva on the fire. Fan the fire by chanting mantras such as Chit Pingala, and we don't know what the Chit Pingala mantra is. We'd have to look that up in the Vedic concordance and see if we can find that. Thereafter, one should place more wood onto the fire while chanting mantras such as Agnin. So 3 different mantras are mentioned here in text 90, and we don't exactly know all of them. So we continue on. Text 91. Next, one should recite the names of 7 tongues of Agni, the 6 Anga Devatas, and the 8 forms of Agni by vibrating Om in the beginning and the end, and Namaha at the end, pronouncing the names in the 4th or dative case. So this is very, very common in Hari Bhakti Vilas, that the worship of particular deities is done by simply chanting Om, putting the name of the deity being worshipped in the dative case singular, and then adding the word Namaha at the end. So here he gives the words. Here he gives the names of the different tongues of Agni, first of all. Because the first thing is you have these 7 tongues of Agni. So the 7 tongues of Agni are Hiranya, Gagana, Rakta, Krishna, Suprabha, Bahurupa, Atirupa. So you have to put these in the dative case. So they look like they're feminine actually. Hiranya. Let's see if we can look them up in the dictionary really quickly, and see if we get a gender for these nouns. Hiranya, I don't really find. If I put it as Hiranya, okay, it can be feminine, yeah. If it's feminine, it means gold. It could also mean semen. Son of one of the 7 tongues of fire. There you go, feminine. One of the 7 tongues of fire. Okay, so it's feminine. So just like we have other long A ending feminine nouns in Sanskrit, the dative singular case ends in ayai, A-Y-A-I. So radhika becomes radhika-yai. So hiranya becomes hiranyayai. Hiranyayai. So Om Hiranyayai Namaha. Om Gaganayai Namaha. Om Raktayayai Namaha. Om Krishnayai Namaha. Om Suprabhayai Namaha. Om Bahurupayai Namaha. Om Atirupayai Namaha. So you have to say this. You have to offer your obeisances to the 7 tongues of Agni. Next, you have to do the same thing with the Anga Devatas. These are the limbs, predominating limbs or Angas of Agni. So here are the limbs. The 6 Anga Devatas are Sahasarchi, Swastapurna, Uchista Purusha, Duma Vyapi, Sapta Jihwa. Sapta Jihwa means 7 tongues, and Danudara. Right? So again, you have to say Om, the name in the dative case, and Namaha. So it would be I ending noun, and this is probably masculine, is Sahasarchi is going to be Om Sahasarchaye Namaha. Then we have Om Swasti Purnaya Namaha. Om Utistaya Namaha. Om Purushaya Namaha. Om Duma Duma Vyapaye Namaha. Om Sapta Jihvayai Namaha. That's feminine. And Om Danudaraya Namaha. Okay? So we chant those. I can write these out later and in full for anybody who's interested. And then text 94, there are 8 deities. So 8 deities also we have to offer our obeisances or offer our respects to these 8 deities. 8 different forms of Agni. So here we have the 8 forms of Agni are Jata Veda, Sapta Jihva. We had Sapta Jihva already up here, right? Havya Vahana, Ashvodaraja, Vaishvanara, Komarateja, Vishvamukha, and Devamukha. So these mantras would be Om Jata Vedayai Namaha, Om Sapta Jihvayai Namaha, Om Havya Vahanaya Namaha, Om Ashvodarajaya Namaha, Om Vaishvanaraya Namaha, Om Komaratejayai Namaha, Om Vishvamukhaya Namaha, Om Devamukaya Namaha. Okay, so continuing on to text 95. The next thing that we should do. Next, one should offer dry kusha grass into the fire and make it blaze brightly. Okay, so what does it say? Actually, the word paristarnam is mentioned here. Paristarnam is usually where you put the kusha grass around the fire. So, I'm not sure whether that translation is actually correct. The person who translated this doesn't really know the method of doing the Agni Mukham or the Kushandika, the beginning of the fire ceremony ritual. Sanskrit Yajyam Yatavidihi Hutva Cha. Hutva means offering, right? Vyahriti. We have to do Vyahriti. Okay. So now it says at the end, you have to do the Vyahriti Homa. Om Bhur Swaha, Om Bhuva Swaha, Om Siva Swaha, Om Bhurvava Swaha, which is also the last part of the Agni Mukham before we start the Pradhana Homa or the main Homa. Then you should pour ghee into the fire 3 times. Okay, so it says tin. I'm not sure if that means 3 or not. Juhat Punaha. Okay. So anyway, in continuing on to 96, I would suggest that this means we're talking about Vyahriti here. The Vyahritis are Bhurbhava Suvaha, or Bhurbhava Swa in North India, Bhurbhava Suvaha in South India for Krishna Yajurveda. So that means Mahavyariti Homa. So continuing on to text 96. Thereafter, one should perform the marriage of the fire god. By offering oblations 8 times into the sacrificial fire. Okay, so this isn't actually the marriage of the fire god. Let's look at the Sanskrit here. Tato asya garbhadana din. Garbhadan adi. What we're talking about, garbhadana adi. Beginning with garbhadana samskara. Vivahanta, and ending with the marriage. Vivaha. Yatakramam, one by one, right? Samskaran, achared, uktam. You should offer ahutis, right, into the fire. 8, for the different samskaras from Garbhadana to Vivaha for the fire, right? So this is definitely a pancharatric version of Kushandika or Agni Mukham, because in the pancharatric version of Agni Mukham, we identify that the fire as Vishnu, but then we perform the different samskaras for the fire from Garbhadana to Vivaha, so that the fire is purified, and then afterwards we can offer into the fire. Yeah, so this is done in Pancharatric Agni Mukham, and it's not the Vedic Agni Mukham. So we should take note of that. That's the main idea here, is that because Diksha, Vaishnava Diksha, is a Pancharatric samskar or Tantric samskar. It's not a Vaidika samskar. Therefore, the particular fire and setting up of the fires is done in a Pancharatric or Tantric way. Okay. So continuing on here, text 97, after worshipping the sacrificial fire and pit in this way, one should invoke the presence of the Supreme Lord and worship him with auspicious articles, such as sandal paste, flowers, incense, and ghee lamps. So what does it say? It says, Pitam Abhyarcha. So you have to do Pita Puja. Pita Puja is you have to offer flowers and or akshata, and you have to chant the Pita Puja mantras, which we should probably, maybe we can find these later on in the 5th Vilasa, where we start doing the puja of the deity. Or we can bring them from some other source like Pancharatra, and we can perform the Pita Puja first, right? And then Deva Mavahya, then after the Pita Puja, then you invoke the deity, right? And then Gandhari Deepantam, beginning with Ganda and ending with Deepa. Ganda, Pushpa, Drupa, Deepa, and Naivedya are usually Panchupacharas, or the 5 services, which are simplified worship. So in simplified worship, we offer these 5 services. Ganda means sandal paste, which you can offer by dipping a flower in some sandal paste and throwing it, right? And offering it to the deity, which means the fire in this case, right? Right? Ganda, Pushpa, again, flowers or flower, again, flowers or flower petals, right? So, so Ganda, Pushpa, Dupa, offering incense, right? Deepa, right, is offering a lamp. So you also offer a lamp to the fire, right? Now, you don't offer Naivedya. Why? Because later on you're going to offer things into the fire. Fire is the mouth of Lord Vishnu. The fire is like his tongue. The pit is like his mouth. And you're going to offer Naivedya into it. You're going to feed him. So you're offering those 4 things. Ganda, Pushpa, Dupa, Deepa. Beginning with Ganda, ending with Deepa. Vidina with Vidi Acharet. Vidi means with in a prayoga, in a procedure. The procedure is to offer the Ganda, Pushpa, Dupa, Deepa. So okay, so when you do that, maybe you also chant the Mula mantra of fire, or of the fire, or of Lord Vishnu, depending on what you're considering the fire to be, and offer those things while you offer them. So, Ramagne Namaha, Dupam Agrapayami, Deepam Darshayami, like that. Or it could be that you offer. Anyway, you offer those things, saying Om Vishnave Namaha, whatever it is, Om Krishnaya Namaha. So, continuing on to text 98. One should think of the fire as being the tongue of the Supreme Lord. One should pour ghee into the fire 108 times, or 1,000 times. One should offer sweet rice to the Lord by pouring it into the fire. Okay, so here it's said, right? Sankalpa Astotram means 108. So once again, verse 98, one should think of the fire being like the tongue of the Supreme Lord, and the Homakunda as being like his mouth. And then we're offering ghee and sometimes grains, but here it says to pour ghee, right? The word sarpihi is given here. Sarpihi means ghee, and juhuyat means to offer. And it says here astotram and sahasram. So you should offer, after doing sankalpa, you can offer either 108, asta utram, right? Asta utram means 8. Actually, you know what? I don't see the word sata here. So although the translation says 108, right? It may be you have to offer 1,008. It looks to me like you have sahasram and astotram. Asta utram, 8 more than 1,000. So my understanding here is it's And you do it with shakara payasa, means sweet rice, sweet milk rice, right? So sweet rice. So you have to offer now 1,008 oblations into the fire with sweet rice. Okay, exactly the mantra to chant we're not sure of, but it may be the same mantra that up here we just discussed in text 97. You're offering gandhadi dipanta, from gandha, pushpa, dupa, and deepa, these 4 upacharas, to the fire. After you've mentioned the names of the fire and whatever it is, you then offer to the fire sandalwood paste, flowers, incense, and lamp, right? It can be a camphor lamp or a ghee lamp. It doesn't say. It just says a deepa, right? And then the 5th thing is naivedya. So you're going to offer the sweet rice 1,008 times, and that's the next thing. Okay, in text 98. 1,008 times. Okay, so then text 99, continuing on. Thereafter, the spiritual master should satisfy the predominating deities of the various planets. It says here, graharksha, right? Bali. Okay, so by offering them the remnants of the Lord's food according to the rules and regulations prescribed in the Shastras. So after you've done these 1,008 oblations into the fire you're going to probably have to have a lot of wood, a big fire, because if you're going to offer 1,008 oblations of sweet rice, it'll put the fire out if it's a small fire. So it's going to have to be a big fire, and or you have to offer very little oblations of sweet rice. In either way, right? And then when that's finished, the idea is to do graha bali. So you have to offer to the grahas, to the different planets, right? You have to offer bali. Bali usually means cooked rice, which is offered, and just with ghee, cooked rice with a little ghee, which is offered with a little sprinkle of water. And so, in this case, though, we've made this payasam, this sweet rice. So it would seem that the sweet rice is quite thick, enough to use it for barley. So we take some of it, maybe with a spoon or something like that, or a hand, and we place it in a pattern of maybe 3 by 3. It doesn't really explain this, but there are 9 planets, and usually they're situated in a mandala, which is, and they're probably in the fire arena, in the yagshala. There probably is an area for worshiping the planets, maybe a raised platform on which there are these 9 squares, in a 3 by 3 pattern, right, on which we can invoke the planets and we can offer the different bali to them. So we have to think about this and look at some books about how different yagashalas are set up, and if there's a place in the yagashala for the planets. Okay, so then after this is done, then they should do that bali. Usually this comes at the end of a ceremony. The offering of bali comes after you offer prasadam or bhoga to a deity in a temple. And in this case, we're doing it in a fire. So after you offer it into the fire 1,008 times, then you offer these bali to the grahas. Okay, so now continuing on, it says ata homa dravadi, homa dravyas. Homa dravyas are what we also called samagris, or ingredients for the homa. So the quantity of the sacrificial ingredients, right? So we should know how much when we want to go and do an initiation ceremony, a Vaishnava Diksha, according to Hari Bhakti Vilasa, we should have an idea of how much ghee and how much payasam and how much of all these different things that we need, all the things. So it says here, thoughtful persons use the following quantities of ingredients for performance of fire sacrifice: 10 grams of ghee. 10 grams of ghee. Not really sure. Here they say kshana matram. Ghritam. Ghritam means ghee. Shukti matram. So we have to look these up and see exactly what it means, but he's translated this into grams. I'm not sure if this is correct, but anyway, 10 grams of ghee, 40 grams of milk, 50 grams of panchagavya. Remember the five things from the normally just the question about barley is that somebody's asking about that barley is usually cooked rice balls with ghee, right? So barley, you make some rice and you cook it, and you rice has to be offered with some ghee, and you just get a handful of it, make a little ball, and offer it onto a pitham or onto a place where you've invoked a particular deity to take that rice. And since it's the prasadam of the deity of Lord Vishnu, it can be given to the grahas or the graha devatas. Yeah. So then we continue on, right? So 10 grams of sweet rice. Now, I can't imagine that these 10 grams that all these these measurements are correct. Can't be correct because 10 grams of sweet rice. How are you going to offer 1,008 oblations with 10 grams of sweet rice? I don't think so. Then it says as much yogurt as is needed to prepare achamana. Okay. So dadi, the word dadi here is maybe he's translated that as yogurt. Laja means puffed rice. So then it says here, and one morsel of fused rice or puffed rice. So I'm not really sure exactly. Exactly whether the quantities here are probably not correct. I don't really know. I would suggest that you first of all figure out exactly how many oblations you're going to use and what things that you need you'll be able to figure out quantities if you figure out exactly how many oblations you're going to have to do. Like I said, 50 grams of panchagavya, 10 grams of honey, 10 grams of sweet rice, as much yogurt as you need to prepare achamana. I don't know where he comes up with that word achamana, but prasriti matram. I'm not sure about that. And one morsel of fused rice. All of these different quantities we have to look up in Sanskrit, and we have to see what it says. But it may not. It doesn't sound to me like it's he's given enough in the quantities here in the translation. So anyway, continuing on. Text 102. Yeah, I wouldn't be too much worried about that list of ingredients and quantities of ingredients, because you just have to have as much quantity as you need. So one should then offer obeisances to the Lord after you've finished, right? And offer him water for drinking. So after you've offered this food to the Lord in the fire, through the mouth of Vishnu, offering all this sweet rice, then you have to offer him some water at the end of the meal. So he has to be offered some water, and that is normally done when we offer Naivedyam. We say Amrita Pidanamasi. After Amrita Pidanamasi, which is at the end of the offering, we can say Gandusham Samarpayami or something like that, offering him some water, or Paniyam Samarpayami. Paniyam Samarpayami means offering some water. Next one should offer Achamana to the Lord. So you offer Achamana to the Lord. So you can just do that in a perfunctory way, sort of offering the Achamana to the fire and then throw it in the throw-out pot. Instead of throwing it on the, you're not going to throw Achamana water on the fire because that's going to put it out. So after this, one should worship the Lord while following all the prescribed rules and regulations. Atma Arpana, offering yourself, like that. Lekyena Vidina Asharet. Okay, so Pradaya Achamani. Okay. Not exactly sure how to follow that procedure. In the translation here of the Homa the amounts of the homa, the ingredients for the homa, right? It does mention 1 tola, 4 tolas, 1 tola, 1 tola, 1 tola, gandusha tula, right? So there's different measurements given. So we have to look up and see what that is, what a tola is. Maybe I can just look in Sanskrit and see if that's a Sanskrit term, or it could be a Hindi term. We're not sure, and see what tola means. Tola. Tola just means weighing. Weighing. A weight. A tolaka is a weight of gold or silver. 16 mashas. In practice, 12 mashas. Okay. So we have to look up masha also. So it's masha. Okay, mashika. Yeah, I don't know exactly. Okay, so we'll leave that. Continuing on. So now we're going to get various rules and regulations in text 103 prescribed for the spiritual master and the disciple. Okay? So just a mention of some rules and regulations. Thereafter, the senior disciples of the spiritual master, so the guru has got some other disciples here, and they're assisting the guru with the initiation of new disciples. So those senior disciples should bring the prospective disciples who are fasting and keeping a vow of silence into the initiation arena, the yagashala. They should make them offer obeisances to the spiritual master. So they should offer dandavat pranams to the spiritual master. Then the spiritual master should sprinkle Ganges water over their bodies of the disciples, chanting the Astra mantra. Again, that Astra mantra is probably almost Traya Pat. And if we look up here, let's have a look and see in the Sanskrit what exactly it means. Vratastam, having performing vrata, meaning not eating. Vagyatam, shishyam. Praveshyata, yata vivihi, they come into the yagashala. Taddehe matrikam sangam, nyasato padishe shatam. Okay. Spiritual master then also performs matrika nyasa on the bodies of the disciples. Now, he would perform the matrika nyasa first of all on himself, and then he performs the matrika nyasa on the prospective disciples. Now, I don't believe, let's have a look at 103. I don't believe that the matrika nyasa is explained here in detail. So we have to wait a little bit longer. In another part of Hari Bhakti Vilasa, matrika nyasa is explained. But matrika nyasa is a nyasa of touching different parts of the body, right, with the different syllables of the alphabet, okay, of the whole alphabet. So it's quite complex. The spiritual master does it to himself and then does it to each disciple, okay? And he's doing this before he gives the disciples the mantra, because the mantra, the secret mantra or diksha mantra, consists of syllables of the Sanskrit alphabet. So before we do that, we have to purify the bodies of the spiritual master and the disciples by doing the matrika nyasa, which is the nyasa or touching of the different parts of the body with all the syllables of the Sanskrit alphabet. So okay, so we can continue on, and this matrika nyasa is mentioned later on in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, I think in the last 5. So we'll come across it later on. Okay, so then text 104 says, the spiritual master should then meditate on the Supreme Lord, as well as his associates, as if they are situated within the previously installed water pot. So remember we had a mandala, which looks like a eight-petal lotus, and it's sitting in and there's a water pot sitting on top of it, and he's worshipped the Supreme Lord in that water pot, the Guru. And so he should meditate on the Supreme Lord as well as his associates. So the Supreme Lord with his associates, and they're situated in the previously installed water pot, and chant his worshipable mantra, right? Which means in this case the Gopal mantra, probably, right? Because we talked about so many mantras in the previous classes, which were given in the end of Hari Bhakti Vilasa 1, and out of all of them, of course, because it's a Gaudiya Shastra, it's mentioning that the Gopal mantra is the best. So here we're talking about the Gopal mantra. So then at this time, the Guru is meditating upon the Lord and his associates in the pot, and he's chanting the mantra. He's chanting the mantra, the Gopal mantra, 1,008 times while touching the water pot. Now, he can either touch directly or he can touch it. He can take a mushti or a kurcha. A mushti is just a handful of kusha, and touch the pot and chant the mantra 1,008 times. Now, it doesn't say whether he chants it out loud or softly, but normally he would chant it. He would probably just chant it mentally 1,008 times, touching the pot. And this is to infuse the pot with the shakti or the energy of the mantra. Thereafter, the spiritual master should rest on a clean bed while thinking about the rituals of the initiation ceremony. So it's not sure here that this whole initiation ceremony occurs on only one day, because, it takes quite a long time to do these 1,008 oblations into the fire. So it may be that there's more than one session when certainly more than one session, but maybe it may be stretched over more than one day. Okay, so then the spiritual master can, just hang on a second here. So according to text 104, the spiritual master should then mentally think of the Supreme Lord and his associates that were previously installed in the water pot, and he should touch the water pot and chant the mantra, in this case, Gopal mantra, 1,008 times. Normally, that would be done mentally. Thereafter, the spiritual master should rest on a clean bed while thinking about the rituals of the initiation ceremony. So he should then he can take a rest, or that's the end of one session of the initiation. The initiation may take more than one session, or it may even be over more than one day. Sometimes in initiations, the students will also rest. But here it doesn't mention that. It just mentions the spiritual master goes and rests on a clean bed. That could be a kushagrass asana, kushagrass mat, or whatever it is. Okay, so text 105. The disciple should spread a black deer skin on top of kushagrass and then lie down on it with his head facing either east or north. These are the auspicious directions, east or north, while meditating on the spiritual master. So the spiritual master is resting, the prospective disciples are resting, the assistants of the spiritual master, which we mentioned, the senior disciples of the Guru who are helping with this, they can also probably rest. Everybody rests after this point. So all the activities that have been described up to this point are meant to be performed the day before the actual initiation. Okay, so that just proves what I just said. And it says here in the Sanskrit of verse 105, Purva Dina Krityam. Okay, so that is done. That is done the day before. And when it mentions nidra, it means sleep, and it says gurum cha shisho. So the guru and the disciple, right, and the shishya are both sleeping. And nivishto matrikam smarit, they should be thinking about the matrikas, which is the nyasa that was just performed by the guru on the disciples, and first of all on himself and then on the disciples, is the matrika nyasa, right, which we have to do before we give a mantra, right? So next day, right, text 106, prataha krityam gurum kritva. That's very simple. That means the guru gets up and he does his morning duties. Whatever he has to do with Sanyavandana, he has to take bath and do a Sanyavandana, do his puja. Yeah. Wow. They were fasting the day before also. Yeah, that's right. The prospective disciples come and they're fasting. So I guess it's like they're fasting the whole day, unless, yeah, they're fasting the whole first day, and then the second day they come, they're still fasting. So hopefully the initiation ceremony is finished in the morning of the second day, and then they can break the fast. So prataha krityam gurum kritva. Normally what happens is they sip panchagavya achamana before getting the mantra, and so, but it hasn't mentioned that here. And then after the initiation, then they'll break the fast. So okay, so what does it say? After completing the morning duties, the spiritual master should first worship the Supreme Lord as situated within the water pot. So again, the water pot is still there from the day before, and the guru has to do the puja on the water pot, and then perform a fire sacrifice at that place. So he has to again do nitya homa there. Not exactly sure what kind of sacrifice he does. Maybe it's the same as before. But, we're on 106. Let's have a look. If we look at the commentary here, yeah. So under morning duties, it says pratahasnana. Yeah. So he has to take bath, and then he has to do the worship of the Lord in the pot, and then perform homa again, and then also Bali, which we did yesterday. So because it doesn't exactly say what exactly he has to do, we're assuming that he has to do the same thing as he did yesterday in the first day of the initiation, which means offering 1,000 oblations of sweet rice into the fire, 1,008 oblations, and then offering Bali or some sweet rice to the 9 planets, grahas, as Bali. Okay, so it doesn't say that he has to do the Vastu Puja again or whatever, but he simply has to do that. Okay, and then maybe there's a Purnahuti, I'm not sure, or last oblation into the fire after that. Okay, so then he has to perform fire sacrifice. Next, he should offer the Lord's remnants to the Lord's associates and great personalities. So it just says here, Balim Kritva, Datva Balim, give Bali. So previously, the day before, he gave Bali to the 9 planets. So it doesn't really say he gives it to anybody else. So perhaps he just does that again, right? So after this, he should completely surrender himself to the Supreme Lord, and then start performing the other rituals that are to be performed for the water pot. Okay, so he has to continue doing the rituals. Okay, so continuing on. Samsara Mudra. Okay, so thereafter he should think of how all the demigods emerged into the body of Krishna while displaying the Samsara Mudra. Okay, so there's different I don't know what it is in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, but in Pancharatri, normally with the right hand, if all fingers put together and the middle finger put up like that is called Samsara Mudra, which means destruction. And then Shristi Mudra is the forefinger put up and the other four fingers held together. So that means creation. So destruction, creation. Okay, we use this many times in Pranapratista also. So this you show the Samhara Mudra and think of all the devatas as being destroyed and merged into the body of Krishna. Not exactly destroyed, but merged into the body of Krishna. At this time, you should meditate on Krishna, who is the personification of all nectar, right? Amrita, right? And who is full of transcendental bliss, right? Then he should think that the sacrificial fire is merged within himself. So the sacrificial fire is Vishnu, right? Is a form of Vishnu. And he should meditate on all the devatas, all the 33 million devatas are all merged in the body of Krishna, right? And then Lord Krishna is in the form of the fire in front of him. And that fire, he should meditate, therefore merges with the super soul within his heart, right? and therefore the potency of the fire is going to be within him as a guru, and then he should meditate like that, and therefore he is going to be pure enough to give the mantra to the disciple. Right? Okay. So we continue on. Okay. So text 108. Thereafter, he should worship flags, gates, and predominating deities of the 8 directions, as well as the sacrificial pit and the arena. Right. So this is simply the mandapa puja, which happens every day. Right. So he should do the mandapa puja where there are gates in the 4 directions, there are flags, and there are different deities which are invoked in these different things. Right. So this is common every morning, every time you have a session, morning and evening, then you have to do this type of worship. You have to do this type of worship. Then, so this is the mandapa puja. So what does it say? It says dwaja torna. Dwajas are flags. Tornas are coverings to the archways, to the entrances, the gates of the yagshala. Dik means directions. Kumbha means the kumbha, the pot which you've installed the Lord and his associates in. Mandapadi, right, beginning with the mandapa, right. Adi Devataha, all of the different devatas of all these different things. Sarva Vivaya Chid Rupaha Kumbe Samyojayet Pujayet. Okay, so they're all together worshipped in the kumbha. All these different devatas also worshipped in the kumbha. Okay, so then 109. Tato Gurum Ganesham Cha Vishpakshenam Cha Pujayet. Okay. Udvasya Kalasham Sprishtva Shatam Astotaram Japet. Okay, this is pretty easy. All right. Next, the guru, right, should worship Ganesh and Vishvaksena. Here it says Ganesh and Vishvaksena. Now, if it meant Ganesh or Vishvaksena, it would say Va and not Cha. But you have here Ganesham Cha, Vishvakshenam Cha, right? So it means you should worship Ganesh and Vishvaksena. Thereafter, the spiritual master should touch the portal, the water pot, and chant his worshipable mantra 108 times. Well, actually, it says here Udvasya. So Udvasya means after the valediction of Ganesh and Vishvaksena, which after you do the puja, right, you do the valediction, or you sending away of the different deities that you invoke, like Ganesh and Vishvaksena, and that is called valediction. And so you say Shemaya Punaragamanaya Cha, right? And they go away, and they may come back the next time you want to worship them. So that's Udvasya. Kalasham Sprishtva, right? Sprishtva usually means sprinkling. Sprinkling, okay. So I'm not sure whether the translation here is exactly correct, but I think it means that you do the valediction of all the deities, Ganesha, Vishvaksena, maybe even the Krishna from the Kumbha, and then afterwards sprinkle the disciples 108 times while chanting the Gopal mantra with the water of the Kalasha. Let's see. The prospective disciple in verse 110, we can look in verse 109 and just see if any of that's mentioned in the commentary. Udvasya Abhyacha. Abhyacha means worship. Udvasya means the valediction. Yaga Vishishta Dravyena Vishvaksena Shabhyarcha Kasha Evadva Syetyartaha. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Okay, anyway. The prospective candidate for initiation should observe a fast on the day of initiation. Okay, so now it's interesting because here we're talking about the second day, right? So the persons who are getting initiated, they should fast here on the second day, Normally, my experience is on the first day, the session is in the afternoon or the evening. The second day, it's in the morning, so that it's really not more than 24 hours, the whole thing, in the two sessions. And on the first day, they don't necessarily fast. But here it was specifically said before that they should come fasting on the first day. So I'm unsure a little bit about that, but it seems a little strange that they would be fasting so long. But it might be possible that they fast the whole first day and then also the morning of the second day. The prospective candidate for initiation should observe fast on the day of initiation. After completing his morning duties, excuse me, after completing his morning duties, he should dress in a dhoti and chadar, suklavastra, it says here, white cloth, suveshaha, right? Then he should please all the Brahmins by assisting in the performance of sacrifice, by giving them cows, land, cloth, and grains in charity. Okay, so he has to satisfy the Brahmins in some way by giving them things. Okay. The spiritual master, continuing on from to text 111, the prospective disciple should consider his spiritual master to be as good as the Supreme Lord. Okay? He should offer his obeisances, parikramya, pranamya, so he should circumambulate the guru and then offer his obeisances to the guru. Here it says he should offer obeisances to him and circumambulate him. I would suggest you go around first and then you offer your obeisances to the guru. He should then offer 1/2, 1/4, or 1/10 of his entire wealth to the spiritual master as dakshina. Okay. Dat uktam dakshinam tasmai swashariram sama. I'm not sure where he gets those numbers from. The numbers may be there in the commentary. 111. Yeah. It looks like the commentary says. Yep, the commentary actually says that. Yeah. Yeah. Sanatana Goswami in his Digdarshini Tika mentions those, but it's not there in the actual verse. Okay. So finally, he should surrender himself to the service of the Supreme Lord. So he has to surrender to the Supreme Lord through the agency of the Guru. So he's doing this by offering his obeisances. Now in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 80th chapter, 41st verse, which is mentioned in text 112 here, it says, "This indeed is the duty of all true disciples, to repay the debt to their spiritual master by offering him with pure hearts their wealth and even their very lives." Okay, nice. So that's the end of that part of that there. The next part is called Atha Abhisechana Vidhi, which means the procedure for doing the sprinkling or the bathing of the disciples. Because we have this water in the pot, right? But we sprinkled them with the pot. It seems like we sprinkled with the pot. Let's see what else it says here. Next, the spiritual master should take his prospective disciple to the place by the side of the sacrificial arena and make him sit facing east. So he has a place where the Shnana Mandapa, it says here, there's a Shnana Mandapa, there's a place where he doesn't just sit in the Yagashala and pour water on top of the disciple. There's a special place where he goes and does that called the Snana Mandapa. Right? The spiritual master should then perform the purificatory rituals for the benefit of the disciple. Okay? Spiritual master should then perform the Matrika Nyasa and Pita Nyasa. So 2 Nyasas, which we'll learn about later in the 5th chapter of Hari Bhakti Vilasa, on the body of the disciple. So it should, normally, whatever Nyasas he performs on the body of the disciple, he first of all has to perform on himself. Thereafter, he should offer flowers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what does it say here? Pitanyasanta means kilam, matrikanyasa purvakam. So first matrikanyasa, purvakam, and then after finishing with pitanyasa, it could also mean there are other nyasas in between. So we'll see later on when we get to the fifth vilas if there are more nyasas that are there, and I would suggest that there are, because if my memory serves me correctly, in the fifth vilas, matrika nyasa is the first nyasa that is done before you worship the deity, and the very last one that you do before you actually get to worship the deity is the pita nyasa. So I think what the guru is doing here is not only he's doing the nyasas on himself and also on the disciples, but again, he's teaching the disciples also how to do these nyasas later on, because after he gives them the mantra, right, the Gopal mantra, then they will be able to worship the Supreme Lord using the Gopal mantra, but they also have to learn this procedure for using the Gopal mantra. So they have to first of all learn the nyasas involved with the Gopal mantra, as well as the mantra itself, right? So this is very important in initiation, that the guru doesn't just give the mantra, but he has to explain the Guru Parampara of the mantra, the lineage of the mantra. He has to explain the meaning of the mantra, or he should explain the meaning of the mantra, right? May not explain them very deeply at initiation, but he has to explain at least the basic meaning of the mantra, right? Later on, he can go into a more deep and esoteric meaning of the mantra. And he has to explain how to use the mantra to do puja, because after, or in different rituals, at least how to do japa of the mantra, he has to explain the japangas and the nyasas involved in using the mantra. Okay, so after this, he should offer flowers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Continuing on to text 115. Sudurvakshita Pushpa. So,
excuse me, one question. This
sure.
offering of the flowers, is there any special procedure for that?
Offering the flowers.
Yeah.
Well, it says Pita Mantrena Pujayat. Pita Mantrena Pujayat means he does Pita Puja again. Now, is he doing, where he's doing Pita Puja, it says he's doing it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the Yagashala, that means either the fire or the pot. I would suggest that he's going to do Pita Puja and again worship the pot. So he
Right,
does.
and probably some names, probably with some names of the Lord or something.
Yeah, Pita Puja we have to wait to see in
Okay.
the last number 5. It's going to be explained how to do Pita Puja to the deity. Now, if it's not there, in the last 5, then we can take it from some other text like Pancharatra. Pita Puja is Dharmaya Namaha, Adharmaya Namaha, Jnanaya Namaha, Jnanaya Namaha. There's some mantras to be chanted. Yeah, and you meditate
so this
upon.
This is all part of Pita Puja.
Well, the mantra nyasa and the pita nyasa are preliminaries to being able to worship, and the next preliminary after that is Pita Puja, before you actually worship the deity. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
It's mental, but you can offer the flowers physically at the base of the deity, thinking of things as being at the base of the deity. So, okay, so then the spiritual master should decorate his disciples' forehead with the marks of tilak, with Gorochana and Gopi Chandana. Gorochana is a type of Gopi Chandana which is colored the pigment very, very deep yellow, like cow with it's colored with cow urine, I believe. So it's a sort of very yellow tilak. Gopi Chandana is more beige, so it's not exactly it's a darker yellow. This is a light. Godrochan is much lighter yellow, like that. Okay, so here it says to use both. I don't see that in the. Oh, Rochanam is here. Okay, it doesn't mention Gopi Chandanam, so it says Gorochanam. Okay. In any case, the guru is going to show the disciple now how to put on the tilak of his particular lineage. So whatever lineage he's following, he's going to he's going to actually draw the tilak on the disciple's body. So that means that when the disciples come, they don't wear tilak. When they come to be initiated, they don't wear tilak. They have it put on by the guru, and then that shows them how to put it on, and it shows them what style of tilak they have to wear for that lineage. Okay, he should place durva grass, uncooked rice, and flowers on the head of the disciple. So it looks like he's giving an ashirvada to the disciple. He's giving a benediction to them by putting some akshata on their heads. It says here uncooked white rice, so it's not really akshata, it's not colored, and durva grass. So let's see if it says it here. It says akshata actually in the akshata pushpa and durva. Durva grass, akshata and pushpa, right? Murdni, on the head, right? Shishyasya, of the shishya. So Rochanam Nidaya, establishing the Rochanam. Kalasham Tasya Antike Vadyadina Nayet. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Okay, so thereafter he should have the water pot brought by the senior disciple devotees. Okay, so the assistants of the guru, who are his senior disciples, are going to bring the water pot, accompanied by the playing of musical instruments and placed next to the disciple. Okay, so the guru is in the Shnana Mandapa, which is not the Yagshala. It's a separate place where the disciple can be bathed. He has done Matrika Nyasa and then up to, maybe some other Nyasas, up to Pita Nyasa. And then he's also done Pita Puja. Maybe there he's doing Pita Puja at the base of where the disciple is sitting. I'm not sure. So then he has decorated the disciple. He's also done Matrika Nyasa and these other Nyasas on the body of the disciple. Then he's drawn the tilak on the body of the disciple. Then he signals for his assistants to go to the Yagshala and bring the pot that they worshipped with Krishna in the pot, right? But they've done Visarjana of that, and they bring the pot of that sacred water to the Snan Mandapa, accompanied by musical instruments, and placed next to the disciple. When they bring it, then one of the disciples will put it on his head. Some other people will be playing musical instruments, right? Then they'll be sprinkling water for Punyavachanam in front, and the person will have it on his head, the pot, and then that they may even offer lamps to it at certain points in the procession. Probably they'll go around the temple or around the deity, or if it's the house of the guru or the Yagshala, they'll go around the Yagshala, and then they'll come to the Shnana Mandapa with that pot. Then they'll take the pot off after doing a puja like an arti. They'll take the pot off, and sometimes they crack coconuts too in case there's some problem bringing the pot. They don't want to spill the pot because they just spent 2 days doing puja to the pot. So, or 2 sessions anyway, at least 2 sessions, but over 2 days. And so they bring the pot and they place it in the Shnana Mandapa next to the disciple that they've just decorated with tilak, and they've just set him up and they've done Pita Puja. So then they bring the water pot, right? And let's see what happens next. Okay. So text 116, the spiritual master should then appeal to Krishna to bless the disciple. So the guru has to pray to Krishna to bless the disciple, and he should personally touch the disciple with the cloth that was wrapped around the water pot. So there's a cloth which is on the water pot. So he takes the cloth off and he touches the disciple with the cloth, right? And after this, he should touch the disciple's head with the mango twig which is kept on top of the water pot. So again, there was a water pot, and there was a covering, probably a copper plate on top, and then there was some different things on top, and there was also a mango twig. So that has to also be touched to the head of the. But he says mango twig, but here it says palava, panchapalava is what I said. So what he does is he takes the leaves out of the water pot and turns them upside down, dips them in the pot, and touches on the top of the head of the disciple. So let's have a look at the Sanskrit. Sri Krishna Mata Sampratya, he prays to Krishna, right? Then Sri Krishna is who was in the Kumbha, right? The guru prays, right? Niraja Shisham. Niraja could mean offer a lamp to them, right? Shisham Tanmud Ninyaset Palavadikam. So taking the palava, the pancha palavas, the five leaves, and maybe even the kurcha if there's a kurcha in the pot, and dipping it in the water and touch on the top of the head of the disciple. Yeah. Okay. So this
So
is
no
not
mango twig there.
No, I don't think so. But we can look at it. I think this is a mistake by him, because he all he's doing is he's translating from the Hindi, and it's not. But knowing how this is, knowing how this sort of thing goes down, I know about these ceremonies because I've participated in ceremonies just like this. So I'm telling you, this is what it means. This is actually what it means. Yeah. Chakrabja Mandala Diksha's like this. It's just like this, actually. They do everything like this. So okay, so then Taduktam. It wouldn't be surprising to me if Gopal Bhatta wrote it like this, because I've seen initiations like this. I've been in initiations like this. So Taduktam. It is stated in the scriptures in this regard. Okay. Vidivat kumnum udritya tan mukkastam Suraduman, Shisho Shirasi Vinyasya Matrikam Manasaja Pet. Okay. So the spiritual master should sit down facing north, pick up the water pot in his left hand, and mentally chant the Matrika mantras after placing the mango and banyan leaves from the top of the water pot on the head of the disciple. Okay, so you take the panchapalavas, put it on the head of the disciple, and then you pick up the pot in the left hand, meditate on the matrika mantras, right? And then continuing on in text 18, thereafter spiritual master should sprinkle the water from the water pot on the disciple. He says here, Triya Proksha, so sprinkle it 3 times, right? With the Mula mantra, which is Gopal mantra. So 3 times says the Mula mantra and sprinkles on the head of the disciple, right? And then later he should perform the disciple's abhishek, accompanied by the chanting of auspicious mantras of late. Okay, so then we have Mangalod Gosher, right? Viprashir. So there's Brahmins there who are chanting the Vedas, right? Different auspicious mantras, and he should abhisinchen. He should then do the while they're chanting that patan, right? He should actually use the whole pot and bathe the disciple. The disciple's just sitting there, and he'll bathe the disciple. Yeah, in actual practice, a lot of times the student is standing, holding his hands like this, and facing the deity, and maybe at the Dwajastamba, the flagpole, and then pour the. But anyway, there's a special Shnan Mandapa for this, and it seems to say that the disciple is sitting for this abhishek. So okay, that's fine. And so here are the mantras to be chanted. There's some mantras to be chanted from Vishishta Samhita while doing this abhishek. So this is probably the mantras here. And let's see. Yeah, this is what it means. May Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva and other demigods perform your abhishek. May Vasudeva, Jagannath, Sankarshana, Vibhu, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha increase your glories. May Indra, Agni, Yama, Nirti, Varuna, Pavana, Ganapati, Kuvera, Shiva, and Brahma, along with all the Dikpals, those 10 Dikpals, always maintain you. Okay, so he chants that. And here's some more mantras, right? May the mothers, these are the different mothers, matrikas, mothers. Kirti, Lakshmi, Driti, Meda, Pushti, Shraddha, Kriya, Gati, Buddhi, Laja, Vapu, Shanti, Maya, Nidra, Bhavana, perform your abhishek. May Rahu, Ketu, the Devas, right? Rahu Ketascha could mean all the Navagrahas, right? Devas, Danavas, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, and Sarpas perform your Abhishek. And continuing on, even more mantras. May the sages, meditators, cows, wives of the demigods, mothers of the demigods, Dhruvas, Nagas, Daityas, Apsaras, Astras, Shastras, kings, carriers, medicinal herbs, precious jewels, time factor, rivers, oceans, mountains, holy places, clouds, and streams perform your Abhisheka so as to help you to achieve the three objectives of life. Three objectives of life. Is that mentioned there? So three objectives of life, I guess we consider to be Dharma, Artha, and Kama. And so religiosity, and economic development, and sense gratification. And then moksha is another one, right? Which is the mantra is going to, see, he hasn't given him the mantra yet, right? So what he's saying is he's pouring this water on and purifying the disciple. And he's saying, may these different devatas and these different living beings bless you with karma, artha, and dharma, these things. But for moksha, he's going to give, for liberation, he's going to give the mantra in a minute here. So 127, Ata mantra katana vidihi. So the process of imparting the mantra, right? So thereafter, the disciple should take off his wet cloth and put on a fresh dhoti and chadar. Obviously, he's been bathed now. He's all completely wet. So he needs to take off. He needs to go to somewhere else, take off his wet clothes, dry himself, put on fresh, dhoti and chadar, or whatever it is. Whatever, if it's a lady, they have to put on a fresh sari or whatever it is, right? And then they have to decorate themselves with the tilak again, because the guru gave them tilak before. So now this is the first time that the student is putting tilak on for himself. So he again puts on tilak, and then he comes back, and he should prepare achamana and then sit down on the right side of the spiritual master, offering obeisances to him. Okay, so dakshine could also mean not only right, it could mean south. So if the guru is facing east, right? Then the east or north, I guess. The guru is facing east, then the shishya is facing or sitting to the south, which is on his right-hand side. So if he's sitting to the south, anyway. Okay, so I was thinking about this before. There's different ways, anyway, different directions. So then he should offer obeisances to the guru and sit down on his right side. Okay, so text 128, the spiritual master should offer sandalwood paste and other articles, along with appropriate quantity of sweet rice to Lord Krishna. So where exactly he's doing that, there's a deity of Krishna somewhere, because Krishna was being worshipped in the pot, but now we've poured the pot over the student. So Krishna was also being worshipped in the fire, but we finished doing the fire ceremony. So there must be some other place where we're worshipping Krishna, either a deity or a pot or a shalagram, or maybe the fire is still going. We don't know. So that's a little bit unclear where they're going to worship Krishna. Worship Krishna with some these different. It says Gandhadi. Gandhadi means beginning with Gandha. So again, it seems to be only 5 articles of worship, right? Simplified worship: Gandha, Pushpa, Dhupa, Deepa, and Naivedya. So what is it saying here? We should worship, the spiritual master then worships Krishna with Gandha, Pushpa, Dhupa, Deepa, and then Naivedya made a payasam, the sweet rice offering again. And at the end, afterwards, right, after doing this, he should worship Krishna by offering flowers, pushpanjali, both hands with flowers and like that. So normally the pushpanjali is a show of surrender to the Lord. So the guru, what he's doing is he's worshiping Krishna again, and then he's surrendering to Krishna on behalf of the disciple, on behalf of his new student, right? He's surrendering to Krishna for the student. So here it goes. So in 129, it says, the spiritual master should perform 5 kinds of nyasas on the disciple's body, who is seated with folded hands and decorated with a gold ring, flower garland, and marks of tilak that are appropriate for the reciprocal session of his spiritual master. At this time, the spiritual master should offer the disciple to the lotus feet of Krishna, right? Okay, so after offering the panchupacharas, Ganda Pushpa Dupa Deepa Naivedya, with payasam, right, with sweet rice, then after that, then the spiritual master takes pushpanjali and offers it at the feet of the deity, and then he offers the new disciple to God. Here, I'm surrendering to you, and I'm offering this as a surrender to you. This new disciple is being offered to you, O Lord Krishna, and please accept his surrender like this at your lotus feet, like that. Yep. So then, continuing on, text 130 and 131, and so it was mentioned here. What was it mentioned? 5 kinds of nyasas. So it says sampradayika mudradi bhushitam. Mudradi bhushitam. Now, okay, so there's another meaning here. Okay, there's another meaning. If we look at the Sanskrit, there can be another meaning. Mudra also means tapta mudra. It also means the branding of the body with the conch and disc of Vishnu. So mudradi here, bhushitam, can mean branding the disciples' shoulders with the symbols of Vishnu. That's what it can mean. It's possible, definitely. But it says sampradayika, which would tend to indicate, according to the sampradaya which you're in, at this point, the markings of the sampradaya are put on the disciple. Now, he's already been marked with tilak, right? And in Pancharatric Diksha, the definition of Pancharatric Diksha is Panchasamskara. Panchasamskara means Tapa Pundra Titonama Mantra Yagas to Panchamaha. These are the 5 things. The Guru is now offering yaga. He's offering surrender. He's surrendering the disciple to the lotus feet of God, of the Lord Krishna, right? So that's yaga. Mantra. He hasn't given him the mantra. Has he given him the mantra yet? Not yet. Hasn't given him the mantra yet. So Ganda. So what is it? Tapa Pundra. He's given him the Udva Pundra or the Tilak. Tapa Pundra Tito Nama. He hasn't given him a name yet. Mantra, Yagasya. Okay, so some of the things he's done, some of the things he hasn't done. This can mean branding the body with the symbols of Vishnu, or it can simply mean offering the marks of the particular sampradaya, whatever those marks are. Now, we can note that even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his article about Panchasamskara, says that even Gaudiya Vaishnavas can have these markings of the Shankar Chakra of Lord, and they usually would do it with Chandan or with Gopi Chandan, and rather than doing it hot. Okay, so it doesn't say anything here about doing it hot. But in context, when people see this in South India, they would probably think, yeah, mudradi bhushitam means branding the body. Okay, so Kritanjalim means the student has got his hands like this in the prayer mantra, like that. Panchangam pramukhya nyasai. Then Panchanga pramukhya nyasai. So there's these certain 5 kinds of nyasas. With the 5 kinds of nyasas, he's offering the disciple to Krishna. Not exactly sure of that. If there's any procedure, it might be discussed in the purport. Let's have a look at the commentary 129. Sampradayakam Guru Parampara Siddham. So he's going to instruct the student on the Guru Parampara, right? The lineage that the mantra that he's going to give him is coming down in. And then it says Mudra Tilaka Maladi. Maladi. Okay, so he is, maybe he's making the mudra on the shoulders of the disciple with tilak. but it also says tilak, and it says maladi means beads. So it says svananguli yakadi chatena bhushitam svananguli. So maybe it's explaining about drawing the tilak on the body also with a particular finger. And then it says, but the mala also is offered. Shishum niju shishutvena vartamanam iti shneha vishayata suchita. Okay. Yeah, so it's not too explicit, but it does mention about mala. That mala could be a garland, but it could also be a neck beads or japa beads, or I'm not sure exactly what that is, but some mala is involved here. Okay, not quite sure about that. Okay, so then continuing on. Oh, that's why he says here flower garland. Yeah. Okay. That's not there in the Sanskrit necessarily, but it's there in the Hindi translation. That's why I know that he's translating from the Hindi. Okay, so it's presumed because in the commentary, in the Sanskrit commentary, it talks about mala, right? That the person is wearing a gold ring and a mala. Okay, it's also possible, but I don't know. Okay, so then we have text 130, 131. Thereafter, the spiritual master should place his hand on the head of the disciple. So we're not sure exactly which hand. Tasya karne dakshine, right? And utter the initiation mantra 3 times into the disciple's right ear. Okay, so now, if the disciple's sitting to the south or to the right of the guru, right? The disciple's right ear is going to be away from the guru. So normally, the disciple, if instead of sitting on the south side of the guru, if he's facing south, if the disciple's facing south, the guru's facing north, that's a possibility, right? Then the guru can lean towards the disciple and he can speak it into his right ear. Otherwise, if the guru's facing east, then in order to speak into the right ear, then the disciple would have to be facing north, which is not what it says in here. It says he's facing south, or he's sitting to the south or to the right of the guru. If the guru is facing north, then he could be sitting to the east. If he was sitting to the east, though, then if he's sitting facing east, if the shishya is facing east and the guru is facing north, that could work. Okay, so if the shishya is facing east and the guru is facing north, then the guru can directly speak the mantra into the right ear. So my suggestion is either the shishya is facing east, the guru is facing north, in which case he's speaking it into his right ear, or the shishya, as said here, is somehow facing south, right? Dakshine, right? Because it says Dakshine in that. He's facing south, and the guru is facing north, if the guru is facing east, then he's facing south. That also would work. The shishya is facing south, and the guru would be then speaking. If his guru is facing east, would be speaking into his right ear. Or the guru could be facing north, and the shishya could be facing south, and they could lean towards each other, and the guru could just go to one side and speak it into his right ear. Okay, either way, there's like 3 possibilities there. The one possibility which fits exactly with this text, right, is that the shishya would be facing south, because it says up here, It's
Yeah,
set
but
up
then
here.
he should sit in front of the guru,
Exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But see, up here it says here something like that. He should sit down on the right side. But if he sits on the right side of the guru, how's the guru gonna speak into his right ear? He can't.
Yeah.
If he's on my right side and I'm the guru, then I'm speaking into his left ear. So right here, it's clear that he's speaking into his right ear. So here, this word dakshina here doesn't mean right side. It means right facing south.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we accept this,
right side towards guru.
he's facing south. The guru's facing either
East. Yeah.
his right side toward the guru. The guru is to his left. Then, no, to his right. Oh, I see. The guru is to his right. So if he's facing south and the guru's facing east, right? The guru's facing east, the disciple's facing south, then he's directly speaking it into his right ear. So that seems to be what's meant here, like that. Now, okay, if I was doing it, I wouldn't do it like this, right? I'm just saying that it's not, to me, it's not auspicious for the disciple to be facing south. South is yama, is death, okay? So the disciple, in my opinion, I hate to go against Hari Bhakti Vilasa, but I'm just saying, it says here dakshine, and that's why they've said on the right side of the guru, because they don't want to say facing south. But if he's facing south, which is the only way it can work, where if the guru is facing east, he can speak right into his right ear. That to me that's not good. Okay, so that he should be facing south. I would prefer if the guru is facing east or north, and the disciple's facing east or north. And if somehow or other you can have a situation like that, where the guru can speak into the, okay, so let's think about it. If the guru is facing east and the disciple's facing north, it won't work. If the guru is facing north and the disciple's facing east, then it works, right? Right? If the disciple sits down and faces east, and the guru is to his south but facing north, then the guru is facing north, the disciple's facing east. That's, to me, the better way to do it, like that. Now, the other way to do it is also like this, is that the guru is, instead, he could face east, but he could also face north. And the disciple could be facing south, according to this verse 127. And then the guru could be facing either north or could be facing east. If he's facing east, he directly can give in the right ear. If he's facing north, he has to face a little bit to the side. He has to lean over to the right and speak it into his right ear. The reason why I say this last one, where they're sitting facing each other, is because this is the normal situation in Upanayana. The father sits opposite the son, and they lean towards each other, and they're covered by a cloth. That's the other thing. Sometimes, a lot of times, they're covered by a cloth when they do this. Excuse me. So, yeah, there's a few different ways of doing this. Of course, if you see somebody do this, then you'll understand the way it's done. But anyhow, we'll continue on with text 130, 131 in a second. So, thereafter, the spiritual master should place his hand on the head of the disciple. Which hand he places on, probably his right hand is better. So again, if he's facing east, he can still put his right hand. If he's facing the disciple, he can still put his right hand on the head of the disciple. And utter the initiation mantra 3 times in the disciple's right ear. Even if the mantra is very long, the spiritual master should go on repeating it until the disciple is able to chant it without difficulty. So this is called I forget the technical term for it. It's called Sundai method. The Sundai method is where you sit down with the guru. He chants something and you chant it. The student will chant. After the guru chants it, the student will chant it. So, first of all, the guru chants the Gopal mantra 3 times in the right ear of the disciple. Then they can just sit normally and the guru can continue to recite the mantra until the disciple gets it by heart. So it says here, even if it's a long mantra. Now, it says up here in the first part of this, nyasi panitalam mudna. That means he touches the disciple on the head, right? Tasya karne chadakshine. He's going to speak it into his right hand, right ear, right? Then it says, Rishyadi yuktam vidivan. He's going to teach the disciple the mantra along with the Rishyadi nyas. That's what it's saying here. It's not in the translation. It's in the Sanskrit. Mantram varatrayam vadet. Right? He says the mantra 3 times. But he's going to, first of all, he's going to explain the mantra nyasa. Now, it could be that what it's saying here is when he touches him on the head, he's going to start telling him the Rishyadi nyasa, because you touch the head first in Rishyadi nyasa, right? So it's not just that he's touching the shishya on the head, but he's teaching him Rishyadi nyasa by actually touching him in those places and telling him this is how you, teaching him the nyasa for the mantra, which means the rishi, the chanda, the devata, and the viniyogaha for the mantra, right? This has to be taught along with the mantra, because this is the anga of the mantra. These are the limbs of the mantra, the mantra nyasa, without which, and we're going to see, there's another verse coming up in Hari Bhakti Vilasa which is going to say, if you don't know these things, you can't use the mantra, or no mantra will be fruitful unless you know these things. Okay, so this is being taught by the guru. Okay, so then next, that was 130, and now I wonder if they actually give the rishi. I think because they're not exactly saying this is a type of initiation for all types of Vaishnava mantras. They're not specifically giving the Rishyadi nyasa for Gopal mantra here, but they may in the let's have a look in the commentary. 130. That's 128. That's 129. Huh. Well, in the commentary here, Agyana Timarandasya Ityadi is supposed to be chanted. So you're supposed to chant the mantras. I guess this is when you're teaching the group parampara. You're teaching pranam mantra to the shishya. So Sanatana Goswami is saying in the purport here that you have to chant this Agyana Timarandasya, etc., which is the parampara, or the pranams of the parampara. Mai prasida lochanabhyam vilokya. There's some other things that I mentioned here. Pancho upacharascha, sampujya sumuhurta, gita vadyadi, mangala gosha, shishasya shirasi, karatala nyasya rishi chanda devatadika. So he's spelling it out. Yeah. So Sanatana Goswami is spelling this out, that the guru has to explain Then Mula Mantra, Vara Trayam Dakshina Karne. Yeah. So he's saying that you have to explain the Rishi, the Chanda, the Devata, etc. Yeah. He's saying it right here in the thing. Good. Okay. That's what I thought. All right. Okay, so now, continuing on. Right. Even if the mantra is very long, the spiritual master should go on repeating it until the disciple is able to chant it without difficulty. The disciple should also chant the mantra while considering the spiritual master, the Supreme Lord, and the mantra to be one and the same. Okay? Okay, so that's the meditation of the Shishya at the time of initiation. All right. So continuing on from 132 to 133. This is where it says Shakshat Guru Radhyaya. Okay. Okay. Spiritual master should say, then, may this mantra benefit both you and me, having put a small amount of water into the right hand of the disciple. Okay, so this is what we call sankalpa. So the guru is going to say this. Vadan mantra, ayam samo hastva bayoriti. So the disciple, when you do a sankalpa, you're going to pour water through the right hand. And so anything that you say that is like a promise or a vow, sankalpa. And so the guru is saying, may this mantra, this Gopal mantra, benefit you and me. And he puts a small water, some water in the palm of the shishya, who then pours that into a plate on the floor, on the ground. So he should think that the effulgence of spiritual knowledge in the form of the mantra is emanating from his body. So remember that the guru meditated upon Lord Krishna in the fire, and Lord Krishna entering into his body and merging with the super soul. And now he's thinking of that same spiritual effulgence or energy of Lord Krishna, again expanding as from the super soul and then entering the body of the disciple. That's his meditation. His meditation is that the power of Krishna that was there in the Homa is going to now enter the disciple's body. The disciple should also feel honored and that he has received the transcendental knowledge from the spiritual master's body. So the spiritual master is like a conduit for that spiritual energy of Krishna in the water pot and in the fire, and being received in the body of the disciple. Okay, so then text 134. The spiritual master should then give the disciple the remnants of the Lord's remnants in the form of sweet rice. So there's probably some sweet rice left over from the fire and the balis that we just performed. And so then the guru should then give this sweet rice to the disciple, right, who's been fasting up until now. So he's giving him prasadam now. He should also bless him by saying, may you achieve long life, good health, opulence, victory, and good fortune. So he gives him an ashirvadam after he gives him the sweet rice prasadam to eat. After blessing him in this way, the spiritual master should put a few grains of rice on the disciple's heads. So he does, when he chants the ashirvada mantras, after giving him the prasadam, he then chants what we call mantrakshita, which is akshita, which is sanctified by mantra, and he offers that on the head of the disciple at the end, Dirga Shambhava, or whatever ashirvada, whatever benediction the guru is going to offer. Okay, so these benediction he should give. So then, further on 135, the disciple should chant the mantra that he's received from his guru 108 times. So whatever mantra you get immediately you should chant it 108 times. you first of all, you have to chant it enough that in the ceremony itself, that you know it off by heart. And then secondly, immediately after that's finished, of course you take prasadam or something like that, but immediately after that, you're going to chant 108 times. And probably what you're going to do is you're going to take prasadam and then you're going to wash up and everything like that, and then you're going to again do mantra nyasa, and you're going to do that 108 time japa of the mantra. Thereafter, he should inquire from the spiritual master about the proper codes and conducts, nyasas, different nyasas, right? And a process of meditation, right? What the meaning of the mantra is, and Vaishnava religious principles. So after that's all finished, and he's done that japa, after he's taken prasadam and he's done the japa, then he should inquire from the guru more things to do. Processes of different religious principles and codes of conduct and different nyasas and processes of meditation. Yeah. Okay. So the appropriate times for giving initiation into the chanting of a mantra. So Narada Pancharatra, in text 136 here, it said, Narada Pancharatra says, a disciple should never disclose to anyone the mantra he's received from his spiritual master. Of course, when the disciple becomes advanced and he becomes a spiritual master himself, he is going to disclose it to his shishyas, to his students. But apart from that, it said he shouldn't disclose the mantra to anybody. Nor should he chant it loudly in front of others. So it's a secret mantra. It's for his meditation, and he should either do a japa, which is very soft, or he should do it mentally. Later on, Hari Bhakti Vilasa is going to explain different types of chanting. Very loud, japa, which is upamamsu, which is just, you can only hear it clearly yourself, and the other person sitting next to you can't hear it. And then, but the lips move, or completely mentally, in which case the lips don't move. So manasika, vachika, and upamamsu, the one which is murmuring. In the same way, he should safeguard literature or shastra, right? Shastra, such as Srimad Bhagavatam and other books that describe the process of worship, just as he safeguards his body. So there's esoteric literature which isn't read by everybody. Maybe there's deep commentaries on the Bhagavatam or some texts which are not to be given to anybody. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he says, this science at the end, Krishna says, this science isn't to be told to everybody. You can't tell anybody and everybody this. It's a secret, and it's very deep, it's very esoteric, and there's a lot of meaning in it. So don't just give it to anybody who's not austere and who's not devoted. That's what Krishna says in the Gita himself. So of course, there are some other people who think, no, we should have compassion. Even Ramanuja had compassion on everybody, and he was told not to tell the mantra, but he went and told everybody the mantra. So there's different points of view, and both of them can be substantiated. Like, if you have a lot of compassion, then you want to give people the mantra, you want to give people the knowledge, the esoteric meaning, and the secret doctrines and the secret methods of worship. And then there's other people who say, no, well, you shouldn't do that to people who are going to be offensive, who aren't austere or aren't devoted, like that. So there's two ways of looking at it, and so we shouldn't criticize people. Some people who do it one way, some people do it the other way, and there's just a different way of looking at it. But this particular verse is coming directly in the chapter about initiation, directly in the chapter of initiation, and therefore, because it's coming directly in the chapter of initiation, it's right after the person gets initiated. So he should be instructed by his guru right after he's initiated that he should keep the mantra secret. Now later on, maybe his guru is going to say, okay, you're more advanced now, you can tell other people some of these esoteric secrets that I've told you, or you can tell them the mantra. He may give permission to a disciple to do that, or the disciple may just become advanced enough to do that at another point. But right now, he's just taking first initiation. Normally, although Ramanuja did it. But normally we don't. The student doesn't immediately give out the esoteric knowledge and the mantra right after initiation. So that's the point. Okay, so continuing on 137. A disciple should show great respect and devotion to all Vaishnavas, especially his spiritual master. He should worship them to the best of his ability and serve and protect them whenever the opportunity arises. That's nice. So here it's just saying the etiquette of a disciple, a person who becomes a new Vaishnava at initiation, gets initiated. That person should worship all Vaishnavas, but especially his guru, but all Vaishnavas he should. So therefore it says all Vaishnavas, especially the spiritual master. Okay, so naturally the person who gives us the mantra holds a special place in our heart, but also all of Vaishnavas are now our masters, and we should try to serve them and in appropriate ways. Okay, so continuing on to text 138. A disciple should offer obeisances to the Lord's remnants of flowers and other articles as soon as he receives them and touch them to his head. So somebody gives you some prasadam from the Lord, you touch it to your head because you want to offer obeisances to it. It's a holy thing, and you don't neglect it or leave it on the ground or disregard it, right? You should respect it. Prasadam, anything which is the remnants of the Lord, it's flowers, prasadam, anything, you should respect it. Later, he can throw them into water. So prasadam or flowers fade, prasadam goes stale, like that. If at that time you can't honor them properly, the flowers don't have any smell anymore, they fade, the garland fades, you're not going to wear it because it's flower garland, it's old, and the prasadam, you're not going to eat it because it's stale. At that time, you can throw it in water, put it into water, right? And throw them into water. He should make sure that they do not fall on the floor. Okay, so don't throw them in places where people have walked, because the dust from people's feet onto holy items of prasadam flowers or prasadam food or holy scriptures or whatever it is, whatever holy thing there is, right? Just has to be properly disposed of if it becomes unusable, right? Like a book that might get burned, or it might get old and might get ripped, and you need to properly dispose of it. And the same thing with prasadam flowers and prasadam food. Okay, so continuing on, this is just some etiquettes, which the guru is going to instruct the new disciple on these things. Of course, we read before in Hari Bhakti Vilasa 1 that, or one, I'm not sure whether it's one or the second Vilasa, whatever it is, but it mentions that the guru and the disciple are they're associating for a year or maybe even 5 years before the initiation happens. So hopefully the disciple knows a lot of these things before the initiation. But if he doesn't, and even if he does, the guru can tell him again, and the guru can instruct him more after the initiation. So that's the point. Then it says, he should think that Lord Vishnu is situated within the sun and the moon, Soma Suryanta Antarastam Cha, a cow, Gavash Ashwata, a banyan tree, cow, Gava, and Ashwata. Agni, fire, the spiritual master, right? And Brahmanas, Vipras. He should meditate on Lord Vishnu in that way. So he should think that there's all these things, the sun, the moon, cow, banyan tree, fire, guru, the Brahmins, and Lord Vishnu appears in all these things. He appears in this world through these different things. And therefore I can worship the Lord through being respectful to all these things. Text 140 says, if out of envy one blasphemes the spiritual master, the disciple should remember Lord Vishnu and immediately leave the place. Right? So if somebody blasphemes the Supreme Lord, then the Vaishnava, this is a rule of etiquette for Vaishnava, it's not supposed to stay in that place. Right? Some other places you'll find where it says, the Vaishnava, he's supposed to defeat that person. If that person has an envious or a different philosophy and he doesn't respect the Supreme Lord, then he can defeat that person philosophically. But in any case, he shouldn't continually stay around people who are blasphemers, who are blaspheming, who are atheists, and who are saying bad things about the Supreme Person, Lord Vishnu. You should leave that place. Just leave. Yeah, don't have anything to do with that. He should think of Lord Vishnu, right? Oh, and blaspheming the spiritual master, same thing. That's what it's saying here. The spiritual master shouldn't be blasphemed, and we know this. The Guru of Agya, blaspheming the Guru. Anyway, so then we have again text 141. O Narada, never associate with or converse with those who blaspheme the spiritual master, the Supreme Lord, and the scriptures. Okay, so these three things, and they're all considered again before the disciple during getting the mantra and during the initiation. He's to think that the spiritual master, the Supreme Lord, and the mantra are all one thing. They're supposed to think of them equally, honor them equally. Of course, they're separate things, but the Lord and his holy name and his holy mantra are definitely non-different. Spiritual master is considered non-different because he's representing the Lord. He really is different because he's not obviously Vishnu Tattva. He's Jiva Tattva, but he has to be honored in that way, right? Shakshad Hari, right? Shakshad Hari Tvena Nasamasta Shastra. So okay, so anyhow, so the never associate or converse with those who blaspheme the spiritual master, Supreme Lord of the scriptures. Okay, a good rule of thumb. So text 142, especially while circumambulating, while walking, while giving charity, when it's early in the morning, or while you're away from home, a devotee should repeatedly remember the mantras given to him by his spiritual master. So that can be the pranam mantras of the Guru Parampara. It can also be the mantras that are given to him in initiation. So anyway, he should always remember these mantras. Always remember these mantras. Normally it means what he's talking about here. Remember the mantra. Swamantram smarit. He should remember Swamantram, his mantra. Yeah. In all circumstances. If, text 143, if in a dream or directly in front of one's eyes, an extraordinary event takes place, a disciple should not reveal it to anyone other than the spiritual master. Okay, so you're dreaming and something amazing happens in the dream. Something, good or bad, whatever it is, something happens in the dream which is like really really amazing to you. You don't go and tell anybody else, only the spiritual master. That's what it says, right? Or even if you see something happen in front of you, which appears to be some sort of miracle or some devastation or some other thing, something extraordinary happens, right? Could be good or could be bad, right? You don't necessarily go and tell everybody. You go to the guru and you ask him, you tell him, this is what happened in my dream, or this is what happened right in front of me. What do you think about this? Please explain this to me, or please give me your opinion about this. Yeah? That's what you do. Okay, so then in Pancharatra it is stated in text 144 and 145 that here's some other rules that the guru is going to tell the disciple. He says that to the disciple, one should not eat fish, one should not eat the meat of animals. So it makes a distinction, animals such as tortoise or hog. So eating pig meat or a tortoise or pork. Yeah. So he's explaining this. Don't eat fish. Don't eat the meat of animals like tortoise or hog. I don't know if they used to eat a lot of tortoise there in India, but anyway, he's mentioned these two animals specifically. One should not eat from a plate made of bell metal. Not exactly sure why this is. Bell metal usually is a type of bronze or 8 metals, which is an alloy. It may be that the idea is you should eat from if you're going to eat from a metal plate, it should be a pure metal. I'm not sure. Because even bell metal does get some patina, does get some tarnishing. So normally we wouldn't eat from a plate that would get tarnished because it might affect the food, in some way, especially acidic foods like tomatoes or whatever, which maybe they didn't even have at this time because they come from the Americas. But anyway, not sure about that. Or a plate made of banyan leaves. Remember, the banyan symbolizes Yashvata tree. The banyan symbolizes Lord Vishnu. So we shouldn't take banyan leaves and make plates out of them. Sometimes in India, they take all sorts of leaves and they make plates out. They sew them together and make plates. Or, like in South India, they take the banana leaf and cut it and make a plate out of that. That's okay. But just don't use the banyan leaves because they represent Lord Vishnu. One should not spit inside the temple, and one should try to avoid sneezing inside the temple. And one should never enter the temple wearing shoes. Right? So these are all, pretty simple rules. Text 146. One should completely fast on Ekadasi of the waxing and waning moons. One should stay awake on the night of Ekadasi and worship the Supreme Lord. The second part of it is much harder. So the Guru is telling the disciple here that you should stay awake all night on Ekadasi and not take any rest on Ekadasi. And he's also saying you should fast on Ekadasi, and not just the Ekadasi of the waxing moon, but also the waning moon. Both Ekadasis twice a month. So in different Vaishnava Sampradayas, Ekadasi fasting and Ekadasi vratam and staying awake and doing things is treated a little bit differently in different Sampradayas. And according to the tradition of the Guru, he's going to tell you how much, he's going to tell the disciple how much to fast and what to fast from, how to do the fast, and how to stay up and when to get up, when to break the fast, all these things, how to do a sankalpa, make a vow for the fast. All these things will be explained later on. And they vary from Vaishnava Sampradaya to Vaishnava. Like the Madhvas are very strict on fasting, whereas some other people are less strict on fasting, like Sri Vaishnavas. And then there are other Sampradayas, they treat it in different ways. So we'll see how later on, when we get to the discussion of Ekadasi, which comes in the 12th Vilasa and 13th Vilasa, we'll find out more about this, more about fasting and observing Ekadasi. So text 147 from Samohan Tantra, it says, one should not reveal the names of his worshipable Lord and his spiritual master to anyone and everyone. Similarly, one should keep his mantras and tulsi beads safely guarded. So, gopayed, the word here, gopayed, means keep secret. Gopayed means secret. Devatam ishtam, your ishta devata. So maybe you're worshipping different deities and things like that, but you have one favorite deity, which is your favorite deity, which you worship, one favorite form of the Lord. You should keep that a secret. Gopayed guru matmanaha. Gurum atmanaha. Your guru, your teacher, you should keep him secret. Gopayed nija mantra, especially your mantra should be kept secret. And malikam, your japa mala that should also be kept secret. Now, one of the things that we see practically is the reason. This mantra also gives us the reason why we keep the japa mala in the bag, or we don't take it out and we keep it only in the puja room. So, like for Sri Vaishnavas, they might keep their japa mala in the puja room. They might keep it in a little drawer in the altar. Never take it out unless they're doing japa. And other people might keep in a bag the japa mala, so it doesn't get dirty, but also so other people don't see it. So it's kept secret, because the chanting of japa should be done secretly. Should be done secretly. The people shouldn't see that. The counting of the beads, the counting of the mantras shouldn't be seen, because they say if there's some statement or something that some rakshasas or something are going to take the result of the chanting of the mantra if they see the counting like that. What it actually means, what the esoteric meaning behind that is. So I'm not really so worried about some rakshasa coming and taking the effect of my chanting from my beads. But what it is when we show that we chant, which we're chanting so many rounds, or we're chanting so many mantras of a mantra, by counter beads or whatever it is. When we show that, or when we do loudly a sankalpa, where we exclaim that we're going to chant thousands of times or whatever it is like that, the internal meaning of not showing these things is because of ego, because of false ego. If I go in the temple, and I make loudly say, I'm going to chant 64 rounds today, I'm going to chant thousands of mantras today, blah, 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 because it's a kodasi. I therefore take a vow that I'm going to do that. What I'm showing everybody who can hear me, right? Of course I can pray like that silently to the Lord too, but if I do it out loud, or if I show people how many times I pull down the counter beads, or the beads go around in my hand very quickly, or whatever it is, I'm chanting lots of mantras. What I'm trying to show is that I am making a big effort myself, and therefore I should be seen as a person who's doing this great spiritual effort, and therefore this is false ego to show off like that. Or somebody in the beginning of Chaturmasya, they go before the deity and they say, I will sleep on the ground without any blanket, and I will not take any ghee or any sweets for Chaturmasya, for the whole 4 years, for the 4 months, excuse me. So it involves a certain amount of ego, false ego, to say that out loud, and therefore the benefit of doing these things is an austerity to perform these different vrats. Austerity is destroyed by false ego. So if we outwardly make these shows of chanting so many mantras, or doing so many fasting days, or whatever it is, staying up all night, whatever it is, then that false ego destroys the actual austerity, the benefit of the austerity that we're performing. So that's the inner meaning of that. So that's why they say just keep it to yourself. Just keep it to yourself. Like if you go to Vrindavan during Chaturmasya and you can ask a devotee. I was once there's a man called Mr. Gopal Ghosh at the Vrindavan Research Institute, a very great Gaudiya Vaishnava, Sanskrit scholar in the line of Gadadhar Pandit, coming in, initiated in Gadadhar Parivar. And I said to him one time, I said, what do you do for Chaturmasya? What austerities do you do during Chaturmasya? And he wouldn't tell me. He said, I can't tell you, because if we tell you, it's considered false ego. So therefore we don't say. People don't say. So you may walk around and you may see people during Chaturmasya getting a little thinner, or maybe growing a beard. So you see some external things. So some things you can't hide. If you say I'm not going to shave for Chaturmasya, you will see the person growing a beard. So you know that he's taken a vow not to shave. Okay. But apart from that, we want to try to keep those things secret, because we don't want to try to display out of false ego how great we are, and how great our austerities are, or our sadhanas or whatever, to everyone and anyone, right? People who are doing that, who are showing, look how great, how many fire sacrifices and how many mantras I'm chanting and how many things I'm doing, austerities I'm doing, that involves a lot of false ego, and that false ego completely destroys the whole benefit of the tapasya of the. Anyway, that's the point. Okay, so continuing on for 148. Right, it says some authorities are of the opinion that if a disciple is ready to follow 104 rules and regulations given by the spiritual master, only then is he qualified to take initiation. Yeah. So now we're going to get a list of 104 rules. Okay, so not 4 rules. Okay, we have some initiations where people are told to follow 4 rules. Here's four rules and 4 principles you have to follow. Here we have from Vishnu Yamala 104. Right, so we can, if we get a guru who only tells us to follow 4 rules, we can feel happy because he left out the other 104, the other 100. There was 100 more rules that we're supposed to follow according to Hari Bhakti Vilasa. So here, this Vishnu Yamala, which is a Vaishnava Tantra, Agama Shastra, he explains these other rules. So here we go. We're going to go past the Sanskrit and we'll have a look at the English. The spiritual master should carefully test the prospective disciple for 1 year. So we understood this already. While doing so, he should teach the disciple the following 104 rules and regulations with regards to performing devotional service to the Lord. Okay, so here they are. Number 1. One should rise early in the morning during Brahma Muhurta. Brahma Muhurta is about an hour and 36 minutes before sunrise. So you're supposed to get up at that time in the morning. So that's number 1, first rule. 2, wake up the deity of the Lord. So, of course, only after initiation he can do this. If there's a deity, he can then go and wake up the deity of the Lord at that time. He has to, first of all, go and take bath and perform certain duties, and then he can wake up the Lord like that. Interestingly enough, in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, it's going to be explained in the next Vilasa how you get up and take bath. But normally in Vaishnava scriptures, they're called anikams, which tell you the daily routine of a Vaishnava. It involves taking bath immediately upon getting up. But in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, somehow or other, Vrindavan can be a very cold place in the, not snowy or anything, but can be quite cool in the winter. And people, according to Hari Bhakti Vilasa, the system was get up and just wash your hands, mouth, and feet, change your clothes, and then go to the temple and wake the Lord. So there are different standards in different shastras, and that's the standard there in Hari Bhakti Vilasa. It's a little different from many of the other scriptures which were written for people who are living perhaps in South India where it never gets cold in the morning. So, okay. So then the third rule is worship the Lord accompanied by the playing of musical instruments. So there should be some musical accompaniment to the puja, the worship of the Lord. Have a morning bath. Yes, you should have a morning bath. Wear a clean dhoti and chadar, or if you're a woman of obviously female clothes like that, sari or whatever it is. Then 6, worship one's beloved Lord in water. So what does that mean exactly? If we want to look back at the actual Sanskrit, does it say anything about that? Brahma Muhurta Utaya, Mahavishnu, wake up Mahavishnu. Nirajanam, which means offering a lamp after you wake him up, which means the Mangalarti. Vadyena means with musical instruments or with the chanting of hymns, right? Pratashnanam, take a bath in the morning. Ahata Yugavastram, clean clothes, wearing clean clothes, right? Worshipping the deity, Devadarchanam. Putting on clean clothes, right? Then Gopi Chandana, putting on Gopi Chandan, and Udva Pundra, right? What did we look at? What were we looking for? Panchayudanam, Charanamrita Sevanam. Okay, so I think we didn't find what we were looking for. What we were looking for? We were looking for worship the Lord in water. I don't know what that means, where that comes in the Sanskrit there, maybe in the Hindi translation or something, or in the commentary. I could have a look later. Okay, so mark the forehead and the entire body with tilak, Udva Pundram, Vaishnava markings. Mark one's body with drawings, presumably with sandalwood paste or Gopi Chandan, of the conch shell, disc, club, trident, and bow and arrow, so of different weapons of the Lord. Drink Charanamrita, We have to take the bathing water of the Lord and drink it. Put on ornaments, right? Put on ornaments. That means you have to wear certain ornaments. Remove the flowers from the body of the deity, right? That should be done before sunrise. Okay, that there's flowers on the Lord's body, and that they have to be taken off from the day before. Put on the flower garlands and sandalwood paste that have been offered to the Lord. So after you take off these flower garlands and wipe the sandalwood paste off the Lord's feet from the day before, those old garlands can be worn by the devotees, by the Vaishnavas. So we take those as prasadam. We take the offered sandalwood paste, and we can take that also, and we can use that. We can put that on our arms, on our chest, like that. Some people put it on the forehead, like that. And that's the way you honor those offerings, the prasadam of those offerings from the day before to the Lord, which are called nirmalya prasadam. Nirmalya prasadam is these things which are left over from the day before's worship of the Lord. And worship the Shalagram Shila and other deity forms of the Lord. Yes. So you have to smell and eat tulsi leaves that have been offered to the Lord. Pick tulsi leaves, utilizing the proper procedure, and later on we'll find out that there are certain days when you can't pick tulsi leaves. And you have to pick tulsi leaves. Obviously, what we're talking about here is we're sort of going through the day of a devotee when he gets up and takes a bath, and then he wakes the Lord up, does Mangalarti with music, and also offers, takes the garlands and the old garlands and sandalwood paste from the deity, honors those things, and then he has to go. That's called Abhigamanam, and then Upadanam. Abhigamanam is first, and then Upadanam means means going and collecting all the ingredients for doing that day's worship for the Lord. So pick tulsi and utilizing the proper procedure. Properly perform daily rituals means you have to do the Sandhya Vandanam, and you have to do other duties and things like that before you do the puja. Tie one's sika while performing any religious duty. So the sika has to be tied. The hair for women also, hair should be tied up and kept. The reason why do we keep the hair tied instead of just having the hair everywhere? Because the hair is dirty, and the hair can fall down on things in the worship and get mixed in things. Very famous in the Sri Sampradaya that Andal, who was the daughter of Periyalwar, she took the garland which was supposed to be offered to the deity, and she used to wear it thinking that it had already been worn by the Lord, and therefore how nice it looked and how nice he would look wearing that garland. Then she put it back, and it was supposed to go to the deity, but the pujari found a big black hair, a long hair on the garland one day, and thought, oh, somebody else has used this garland before, so we can't offer it to the Lord. So her father chastised her for wearing the garland before it was used, because she got some hair in it, and the hair is considered unclean, and which is why we wash the hair. And although women have an exemption that they only have to wash the hair after the menstrual cycle, after they finish their menses, they can do a full head bath. But because they have lots of hair, and they may catch cold if they have wet hair, but males usually don't have that much hair, and so we wash the hair every day, or at least wet the hair every day. And so that's a little bit about hair. Okay, so why did we get into talking about hair? Is because once you tie the sika, yes, you keep it all together so that pieces of hair don't go everywhere, strands of hair. So offering oblations to the forefather with water which has been used to wash the Lord's lotus feet. Okay, so other people offer oblations to the forefather, Pitri Tarpanam, as part of taking bath every day, right? But what it's saying here is it's best to offer Tarpana to the forefathers, the Pitris, using Charnamrita, using water that's been offered to the Supreme Lord. That's the best. They will like that better, right, than just regular water. Worship Lord Hari with great pomp if one is able to do so. So the whole point is, if you have enough money to worship the Lord in a really opulent way, then you should do it, right? And you shouldn't be miserly and not do it that way. Perform eternal and temporary duties. Eternal, when we say eternal, it means daily. The word nityata or nitya can mean eternal, but it also means daily. So if we see nitya kritya means daily activities. Also means eternal activities, but nitya kritya means daily activities usually. So perform eternal and temporary. So there's nitya karmas, things that we do every day, and there's naimitika karmas, which are done occasionally, like Ekadasi, like some other Chaturmasya, things that don't happen every day, right? So we should do both those things that are not opposed to the principles of devotional service to Lord Hari, right? So in other words, we should perform those that are in line with devotional service to Lord Hari. So we need to read the scriptures and we need to know what daily and occasional activities are in line with devotional service to Lord Hari, and we should do those, and we should not do them. We should do them. Therefore, 21 is perform the rituals for purifying oneself. So one has to do some rituals to purify oneself, take bath, do Sandhya Vandanam. There's many different ways, both physical and mental and spiritual, for purifying the self. Buddha Shuddhi, before we do puja, meditation, before we chant japa, Buddha Shuddhi should be done before japa, homa, dhyana, pravachana, when you're teaching, all those things. So, 22, offer fresh fruits and flowers to the Lord with devotion. Fresh fruits and flowers means that they shouldn't be stale. They should be, and also they probably should be in season. These things are in season. That's the best thing. So worship Tulsi Devi daily. Worship Tulsi daily. Okay, so every day we have to do some worship of Tulsi. When we go to pick Tulsi to use in the puja, then there's a mantra, there's a prayer to chant, and there's a way of worshiping Tulsi, of giving her charamrita from Krishna. And so Tulsi worship is going to be explained also later on in Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Worship Srimad Bhagavatam daily. How do you worship Srimad Bhagavatam? Well, you could take Ganda Pushpa Dhupa Deepa Naivedya and you could offer it to a book. You could do that. But the best way to worship a scripture is to actually read and study deeply the scripture. And the best way to do it is to do it in the accompaniment of other Vaishnavas, especially of gurus and people who can teach you the deeper meaning of those scriptures. So that's the real meaning to worshiping of the scriptures, is to constantly try to understand and deeply meditate upon the meaning of the scriptures. But at the same time, there are some people who also do external worship of the scriptures with the upacharas like Ganda Pushpa Dhupa Deepa Naivedya. Okay, so then 25, worship the Lord at least 3 times a day. Okay, so we could say that the worship of the Lord in the sun is Sandhya Vandanam 3 times a day. Or we could also do worship of the deity in the house or the temple 3 times a day. Normally people don't do so many worships of the Lord in the house. But in the temple, definitely at least 3 times a day, there's worship of the Lord going on in temple worship. Okay? So, hear Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas daily. Okay, so worshipping the Srimad Bhagavatam and hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas daily is sort of redundant, because you're probably doing both. Okay, that's fine. And put on cloth that has been offered to the Lord. That means that any cloth which is prasadam, which has been offered to the Lord and is not used by the Lord anymore, then you can also use that cloth like that. That's a sort of holy cloth, and we wouldn't use it. We wouldn't use it as underwear, or we wouldn't use it on the lower part of our body, but we could keep it on the top part of our body, and it would be a prasadam type of thing. So some people make a bead bag out of some cloth that was from the deities, or they keep it on their head. Sometimes you see people when they're putting tilak on in the morning after taking bath, and while they're doing that, they'll keep some things on their head, like a piece of cloth from the deity or whatever it is. And so it's a holy item, so we can keep it holy and not disrespect it. So, worship of Srimad Bhagavatam daily, worship of the Lord at least 3 times a day, hear Bhagavatam Puranas daily, put on cloth that's been offered to the Lord. 28, participate in all the festivals as a servant of the Lord. So especially in the temple, they celebrate the festivals in a grand way. So we should also participate in that and just not stay at home and worship our deity in home, but we have to come to the temple and we have to engage in the worship of the deity in the temple and the big festivals. So don't neglect these big festivals. There are many festivals that come: Krishna Janmashtami, Narasimha Jayanti, Ramanavami, Vamana Dwadasi. There's many appearance days, and then there are other, Vijay Dasami, Dasera, where Lord Rama killed Ravana. There are many festivals, Rathotsava, Rath Yatra. There are Brahmotsavas. There are many different types of festivals. They all have to be. We should be ready to serve the Lord in all these different festivals. Participate in them as servants of the Lord. Obey the orders of the spiritual master. Okay, so that's it. That's very important. The guru, and there's many types of gurus, of course. There's the Shiksha guru, there's Diksha guru, but anybody who is giving us spiritual knowledge, right, is a guru. And so we call them Prabhu, our master, and then whatever they say, we should try to follow that. Okay. Of course, sometimes, we may have different people telling us different things like that. It's very difficult to follow more than one person's instructions if they're contradictory. So in that case, we have to, make a choice between whose instructions to follow. But normally the idea is to, as far as possible, follow all the orders of our gurus, of other Vaishnavas who we consider to be great and who we get spiritual knowledge from, just by association even. So keep faith in the words of the spiritual master. Yes, we should keep faith in the spiritual authorities that we have. Whatever they're telling us, we should definitely have faith in those things. And when we have some doubt, we should go to that person. We should go to that person and get convinced more from his preaching on the scriptures and on whatever aspect of spiritual life we have some doubt. We should approach higher authorities, spiritual people, and we should get our doubts cleared like that, so that we can have full faith in the words of the guru and the spiritual master, which are the same as the words of the scripture. Put on tilak according to one's worshipful Lord and mantras. Okay, so we should wear the type of tilak that the guru has given us in the initiation, and we should also continue to do that. And these are going to be these are all going to go together. The mantra, the tilak, the worshipful Lord are all going to be of one particular lineage or sampradaya. So 32, sing and dance before the Lord with love and devotion. Yes. So that we can sing songs or sing mantras or sing prayers, stotras, whatever it is before the Lord, and also offer different worship to the Lord with different mantras, and we should have love and devotion when we do those things. Number 4, blow the conch shell while worshiping Lord Hari. So conch shell is to be blown. Normally they blow it during Abhishekam or before and after an Arati ceremony. There's different times when the conch shell can be blown. But it's very much a Vaishnava thing to blow conch shell, because the Lord Krishna had conch shell on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He has this. Lord Vishnu has the Panchajanya conch. So conch and disc are very much associated with Lord Vishnu. So we should blow the conch shell while worshiping Lord Hari. Enact the pastimes of the Lord by performing dramas. Okay, so that's possible. That there are different dramas that can be put on of the Leelas of the Lord or of some other aspect of Vaishnava philosophy, and one can do that. Perform fire sacrifices daily according to the prescribed rules and regulations. So what it's saying here is that the Guru is telling the disciple that daily you should perform some fire sacrifice like that. So either that's the regular Vedic sacrifices that brahmacharis, Samhita Danam, or Grahastas, Alpasanam, and Stalipakam, these different Vedic sacrifice, or whether it's a pancharatric, type of fire sacrifice, you should do it because it's mandated there in the scriptures and by the Guru. Offer food to the Lord daily. So we should offer all our food to the Lord like that. It's pretty already been covered pretty much. Greet and worship saintly persons, the Vaishnavas. Number 40, we should, or 39:40, honor the Lord's remnants of food by taking them, by touching them to our head, by eating them. Honor betel nuts that have been offered to the Lord. Okay, so that's interesting. Like the Lord is also offered pan, or which is a leaf with some cut betel nut and spices, as a sort of an after dinner mint, or to cleanse the palate of the Lord, like that. It's something which is done in India, like that. So that can also be taken by the devotee. The prasadam can be taken. Now, normally that's only taken by grahastas, and brahmacharis, sannyasis, vanaprasthas, they don't take the betel nut prasad of the Lord. Okay, but here it's not mentioned, so it's just said that you can do that. So in this case, the guru is telling that this is a rule that you can follow. If you don't want to follow it, because you're, if there's another reason why you don't follow it, because you're a brahmachari or sannyasi or vanaprastha, then that's okay. That's, these are just general rules. Okay, so then associate with devotees. Obviously, we want to associate with other Vaishnavas, and we gain a lot by associating with them. We get knowledge from them. We clear our doubts cleared by them, and we can serve them, and so that helps us to advance. So number 42, make inquiries about the characteristics of the Supreme Lord. So naturally, when we're in association of devotees, we can ask them to explain more about this, about the unlimited auspicious qualities and characteristics of the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana, and Lord Krishna. Continuing on with number 43, properly follow the rules and regulations that are prescribed for the day of Ekadasi, the day of Ekadasi, before the day of Ekadasi, the day of Ekadasi, and the day after Ekadasi. So Ekadasi is Vrata is going to be explained here in Hari Bhakti Vilasa in Vilasa 12. And it's going to explain that it's not just on Ekadasi, but there are also regulations for the day before and the day after, for taking the vow, and also for ending the vow in certain ways. So the day before is called Dasami, the day after is called Dwadasi. So we have 3 days, Dasami, Ekadasi, and Dwadasi, in which there are specific rules and regulations to be followed. So that's all going to be explained later on in Hari Bhakti Vilasa 12. So we should not fail to follow all those regulations the way they're set. And we should not just think that only on Ekadasi we have to follow some rules and regulations. No, you have to follow some on the day before and the day after also. Remain satisfied in any condition of life. Okay, so the idea is to be peaceful, is to be calm, and to be satisfied with your lot in life, whatever karma you have that the Lord gives you. And he Lord gives and he also takes away. So whatever he gives and takes from you, you should be satisfied with that. So 45, observe various festivals. Now we had that before. Where was that? Up here somewhere. Perform daily rituals? No. Anyway, perform daily rituals. I'm not exactly sure how this differs from some of the other ones above, but various festivals. Okay. Follow the 8 Mahadwadasis. Okay, Mahadwadasis are Dwadasis on which there's fasting, because it's a mixed Ekadasi, and the Ekadasi doesn't fall purely on one day. It falls on 2 days. Normally, when it falls on 2 days, it means that the Vaishnavas choose the second day rather than the first day for the fasting and the Vrata. So Mahadwadasi is the name of that date, special date, and there are 8 of them coming in the year. And they should also be followed just the same way that in a similar way than the Ekadasi Vratas and the Ekadasi fasts and things are followed. Number 47, worship the Lord with all the ingredients that are available in the various seasons. We had a similar one to that before, that we should offer fruits and flowers that are in season, that are fresh, right? So continuing on, one should observe, number 48, vows that are meant for Vaishnavas. Okay, so what does that mean? That means following the vow of Janmashtami, Chatumarmasya, whatever it is, which are meant for Vaishnavas, but there might be other vows which are not meant for Vaishnavas, which we can neglect, right? So there might be Durga Astami or some Devatas worship, or in Tamil Nadu they have Thai Pusam, where everybody worships Murugan, okay? So these are not meant for Vaishnavas, so we neglect them. We don't, Vaishnavas don't follow those particular holidays or vratas or festivals. Number 49, consider the spiritual masters to be as good as God. We should always be very subservient to the spiritual master, and we have to think of him as a representative of God. And as I said, there can be other spiritual masters also. There are Shiksha Gurus, and even every Vaishnava in general is a Shiksha Guru practically. So we should always try to cultivate humility and think that other people are being sent to us to help us, and they're like representatives of God. So the representative of God is to be honored as much as God. So number 50, collect Tulsi daily. Okay, so this cannot be done because there are certain days when Tulsi cannot be collected. Okay, so she has to have a rest, or there's specific days like Dwadasi and different days of the month where she shouldn't be collected. So we do want to collect Tulsi daily because in daily we want to use Tulsi in the worship of Krishna, but sometimes we have to make some other arrangements, like we have to collect more on the day before a day which is forbidden, so that we have an extra stock of Tulsi leaves left over from that day before. Arrange the Lord's bed is number 51. So that means that for the Utsava Murti or the Shalagram or the small metal deity, for festival deity in temples or in houses, right? That the deity can actually be placed in a bed or a cot to take rest at night, right? Or in the case of, like, for instance, Udupi, they have a deity that goes to bed for the whole of Chatumasya for 4 months. So number 52, think about the Lord's incarnations such as Rama, Krishna, Narasimha. We should meditate upon not only their qualities, but also their pastimes and their paraphernalia, their entourage, and the different stories like Ramayana, Mahabharata, whatever it is. Because we should meditate upon the Lord and his leelas. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Janma Kama Tyamena. If you think about my birth and activities, then you'll go to moksha. You'll be liberated by me. So one should not. Now we're going to get some. When we have rules, there are some rules which are called yamas and some called niyamas. So yamas means rules that you should follow, and niyamas means things that you shouldn't follow, things that you shouldn't do. So do's and don'ts. Okay, so we had a whole 50. We had 52 do's, things that we should do. And now we're going to have, from 53 on, we're going to have some things that we should not do. So that'll be interesting. So number 53, we should not sleep in the evening. So normally during sunrise and sunset, didn't mention here sunrise, but sunrise and sunset, normally it's forbidden time for sleeping. So we shouldn't sleep during that time. In fact, those are the times when we do Sandhya Vandanam, when we should be praying to the Lord. So this is another reason why we shouldn't be asleep. We should be doing the Sandhya Vandanam. 54, cleanse one's body with clay. Okay, so clay was used in the old days in India when you take bath outside in a tank or a lake or a river, right? Then you would take some clay or some dirt, and there's a mantra, Mrittike harame papam janmaya chaskritam pitam Mrittike. There's a Mrittika Shukta, and you take the Mrittika and you use the Mrittika for cleaning yourself, even after going to the bathroom, relieving the calls of nature in the morning. And then after that, also during the bath, it's smeared on the body to clean off all the grime and excess dirt that came from the day before, that things that have sweat and other tears and different things that have come out of the body are all rubbed. The body's rubbed, and then pure water is used to wash it off. So they use it in very similar to the way that we would use soap today in cleansing the body. In a ritual bath, it's used today. Okay, so we have to have that type of bathing, and we also just regular bathing with soap and water, and to keep ourselves physically clean. Okay, so then perform achamana while standing. Normally you shouldn't perform achamana while standing. You should either be sitting or you should be crouching in chicken pose. Chicken pose in Sanskrit is called Kutkutasana. Kutkutasana means squatting down on the haunches, squatting down with your knees bent, and you sip the water between your legs. You're sipping the water from the Achmana cup or directly from a pot, and that's how you do Achmana, right? So you shouldn't do it standing. So it's either sitting or crouching. You should perform Achmana. Sit on the spiritual master's asana. The spiritual master has an asana, a place that he sits and he gives lectures from, he gives instruction from. He sits there, it's his, and therefore when he sits there, he speaks the scriptures, and that seat is considered to be the seat of Vyasa, because the guru is representing Vyasa when he speaks the scriptures, so it is called sometimes the Vyasasana. So we should not sit on that seat unless you're also being like Vyasa giving class, right? In which case you're the teacher, right? But normally the teacher's asana, his personal asana, you shouldn't sit or stand on. Okay, so we continue on. One should not sit in front of the spiritual master while spreading his legs. So just good etiquette, don't spread your legs in front of the guru. It's considered bad etiquette. Rude. Similarly, stepping on the shadow of the spiritual master, right? You should not bathe if it will impair your health. If it's very cold and you have a cold and you're suffering, or you're old or frail, you may have to use hot water, or you may have to have a sponge bath. If you're sick, if you're in a hospital, whatever it is, you have to be careful about bathing, because normally ritual bath is done with cold water. Normally. Daily bath can be done with hot water, but ritual bath, when you have a specific ritual that you have to perform, like Avabrita Snana, or if somebody's died in your family and after 10 days you have to take a ritual bath after the period of asocha or contaminated period, that has to be taken usually in cold water. So he's saying here, just be careful of these cold water baths or different types of bath that you have to take for different vrat, that you don't impair your health. Number 60, disregard the demigods. Disregard the demigods. The demigods are considered limbs of Lord Vishnu, limbs of Krishna. They're Krishna's servants. So we have to offer them respect. We don't have to worship them exactly, but we have to offer them respect because they're also serving Krishna. Right? Many of them are Mahajans, great devotees of Krishna. We should not stand up and welcome someone. We should not stand up and welcome someone in front of the Lord or the spiritual master. So, when we're doing puja to the Lord, or when we're in the presence of the spiritual master, then we have to neglect ordinary visits by friends or or other people who come. We have to not stand up and welcome such people at that time. Brag about oneself in front of the spiritual master. We definitely shouldn't brag about ourselves in front of anybody. What to speak of in front of the spiritual master. We should always be meek and humble. 63, we should not sit touching the knees to the chest. Sit in such a way as the knees are up and touching the chest. The knees can be lowered down, even they can be raised a little bit if you put a yoga band around them. The knees you can sit in that sort of an asana. But you shouldn't sit with your knees up against your chest. This is considered bad etiquette, bad form. Sit while touching one's knees to the chest. No. Chant inappropriate mantras while putting on tilak or performing achmana. So, when we perform a particular ritual worship, we should do so with the correct mantras and not with inappropriate mantras. That's the main point here. We should not wear blue cloth. Normally the cloth is white cloth, and there are certain ashramas like sannyasa where they wear different color cloth, like an orange cloth, saffron cloth. And sometimes priests wear a yellow cloth, which is dipped in turmeric. That's called dikshavastra. In fact, you can wear it for diksha. And in some states of India, mostly in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, in South India, they do, in certain rituals, they do wear this yellow cloth. But apart from, in Tamil Nadu, mostly they don't. Mostly they just wear white cloth. Now here it's talking about blue cloth. The only Vaishnavas that I know that wear blue cloth are Madhvas. Madhvas wear any color cloth, and they just consider that they're wearing a beautiful cloth that the deity should see that they're wearing a beautiful cloth, and so it's not offensive. And of course, for ladies, of course, they can wear any color, so they can also wear yeah. So I just want to, in this, maybe I can just finish the 104 because we're up to 60. We're up to 60 somewhere, 65. Wear blue cloth. So maybe there's a few more. We can just try to finish 104 here. That would be good. Yeah. So we have a few more to go, and anybody who can't stay, you can watch the video. Associate with non-devotees. Obviously, we don't want to associate with non-devotees because they're telling us all sorts of strange things like that. Hear non-devotional literature. Naturally, if we don't want to associate with non-devotees, we don't want to hear non-devotional literature. We should not remain attached to insignificant association or insignificant material happiness. Right. We should not eat meat or drink wine. Right. Take any other type of intoxicant. Right. We should not take red gram, which I believe is red lentils, and burnt rice. Yeah, we shouldn't eat spinach. That's interesting. Why not? I have no idea. Right? Should not eat squash or brinjal. Brinjal means eggplant. Eggplant. Later on, we're going to see eggplant is forbidden as one of the foods in one of the areas. We don't want to get into that right now. It's all be discussed later. Eat food offered by non-devotees. We should not eat food which has been offered by non-devotees. No. If non-devotees could even offer food. Observe vows that are not related to Lord Vishnu. Again, we discussed this. Other Devata vows we should avoid. Chant mantras other than Vishnu mantras. We should not chant these other strange mantras. Even some people, they go to astrologers. The astrologers are not Vaishnavas. And they tell them to chant some mantra for Shiva or some mantra for Durga, and they do it. But they shouldn't. Vaishnavas should only chant Vishnu mantras. Practice magic or hypnotism, which is a type of what's called vasikarana. Vasikarana means controlling other people. Even though in Narada Pancharatra there is some talk of controlling other people by certain mantras, which are names of Vishnu, names of Krishna, actually, parts of Gopal mantra even, right? But here it says we shouldn't practice that type of power over other people, of magic or hypnotism. 78 says, offer simple ingredients, even if we're able to offer opulent ones. So if we have the money and we have the facility to offer opulent worship of the Lord, we should. And not just offer simple ingredients. Number 79, become overwhelmed with lamentation. We shouldn't become overwhelmed thinking, oh, I'm in this material world, I'm so sinful, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to go to hell, like that. We should always have great faith in the Lord that He's going to save us. Like that. It's all right to think a little bit in the morning when you get up yes, I've wasted my life up until now. Let me do better in the future. But in general, we shouldn't become depressed or morose because of thinking that we're trapped here in this material world too much. So observe Ekadasi that overlaps with Dwadasi. So a mixed Ekadasi, right, cannot be accepted. So this is what I was saying about the smarters. They normally accept Ekadasi. If the Ekadasi falls on 2 days, they'll accept the first one, which is mixed with Dasami, as the fasting day. Vaishnavas don't do that. We accept the second one. Right. So to discriminate between the Ekadasi of the waxing moon and the waning moon, they're both the same. They're both Ekadasis. They have to be honored in both the same way. Okay, so 82, to play chess or gamble while observing vows. Okay, so what it's saying here, if we're doing a vow, we should stop doing all these frivolous activities and we should just concentrate on the vow of Ekadasi or worship of Krishna or whatever it is. And we should not play chess or gamble at that time, like that. Some people might even go further and say you shouldn't play chess at all, or you shouldn't gamble at all. Even though there are some examples of some leelas where some great devotees out of ecstasy did gamble with the Lord. And even we know that the Pandavas played chess and different people have done it. So it's not really, it's, maybe not a completely absolute instruction here, but at least while we're performing vows and things like that, we shouldn't be doing these things. So, number 83, eat fruit on a fast day if one is able to observe a total fast. So here the point is, there are different levels of fasting, and some people, they can't fast. For medical reasons or health reasons or old age or young age or whatever it is. There's some reason why they can't fully fast on a fast day. Meaning, fully fast means not taking any food. It can also mean not even taking water, but that's even more difficult. So whatever level you're able to do, you should do. If you can do a better, greater, if you can do a greater type of fast than the one that you're doing, then you should do that. If you can't do the greater form, then you can do the lesser form, like that. Right. So then perform a Shraddha day on Ekadasi. So Shraddha involves the offering of Pinda, which is rice balls to the forefathers. And even if we do it with Vishnu Prasadam, we shouldn't do it on Ekadasi day, because on Ekadasi day, sin is considered to be in grains like rice. So we shouldn't offer Pinda on Ekadasi day. There are some Vaishnavas who do it, right? But in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, they don't do it. In Tengalai Shri Vaishnavism also, they don't do it. In Vadagalai Shri Vaishnavism, they do it. In Madhvism, they also may do it. They also may do it also in Madhvism, even though they don't, they're strict about Ekadasi usually. But as far as Shraddha is concerned, I'm not sure. Maybe Madhvis don't do it also. Yeah, I have to look that up. Anyway, 85, sleep during the day of Dwadasi. So on the next day of a Dwadasi, everybody wants to sleep. Why? Because they stayed up all night of Ekadasi. They didn't get any sleep on Ekadasi. So as soon as it becomes Dwadasi the next day and they break the fast, everybody wants to sleep, right? But here it's saying specifically, you can't sleep on Dwadasi either. So it's not only 3 nights fasting, Dasami, Ekadasi, and Dwadasi, right? One meal on the first day, Dasami, and 1 meal on the Dwadasi. No meals at all on the Ekadasi. But you even have to stay up on Dwadasi until the correct time to go to bed, and you can't sleep during the day. So pick Tulsi on Dwadasi. You shouldn't pick Tulsi on Dwadasi. Ekadasi is a day of fasting, and so therefore Tulsi is a devotee of the Lord. She's fasting, and therefore she's weaker, and therefore you shouldn't take her leaves on Dwadasi. Right? Bathe the Lord on Dwadasi. This is a very interesting one. We have to bathe the Lord every day, so how can we not bathe the Lord on Dwadasi? There's different rules about it, and we will find out later on in Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Perform Shraddha to the forefathers with the Lord's remnants. Perform Shraddha to the forefathers with the Lord's remnants. I'm not sure. This is supposed to be things you don't do. I'm not sure about that. We have to check that out, because I always thought you did have to use the prasadam of the Lord when you're offering shraddha to the forefathers, but it seems like here maybe it's saying you shouldn't. I don't know why. 89, use tulsi leaves that are while performing the shraddha ceremony. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to use tulsi leaves while performing shraddha ceremony, but in any case, it's saying here that you shouldn't. Perform shraddha without a Vaishnava priest. Yeah, we should definitely have a Vaishnava priest when we're doing a shraddha, and it should be done in a Vaishnava way. We shouldn't perform any rituals with a non-Vaishnava priest, because that priest doesn't understand that we are Vaishnavas and we want to do it in a Vaishnava way. Number 91, use water to purify one's mouth after drinking Charanamrita. After you drink Charanamrita, you should not then wash your mouth. You should take Charanamrita, and you shouldn't wash your hand, and you shouldn't wash your mouth after that, right? Immediately after that. You can, after some time, you can do it, but immediately you shouldn't do it. It's considered offensive to the Charanamrita, which is the holy foot bath of water of the Lord. Worship Lord Vasudeva while sitting on a wooden asana. I'm not quite sure about this, but somehow or other you're not supposed to use a wooden asana. But Lord Krishna gives there's many other asanas which are mentioned here in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, and you should probably use those, like a deer skin, tiger skin, kusha grass, wool asana. These are nice asanas to sit on, and very pure also. Indulge in gossiping during the time of worship. So in fact, we should concentrate when we're worshiping the Lord only on the worship of the Lord. And if we have to do something else, some people say you have to say idam Vishno Vichakrame Tredanindade Padam Samudavasya Pagam, so that you have to chant a mantra, or Om Tad Vishnu mantra you have to chant. If you actually change from Sanskrit into another language, or you talk to somebody else while you're doing puja, then you have to do achamana, or you have to say holy mantra to purify yourself, and again concentrate on the worship. But the best thing is not to distract ourselves at all when we're doing worship. 94, offer karavi and akanda flowers put to the Lord. Okay, so there's a whole vilas about flowers and tulsi, which is the 7th vilas, and we're going to get to that later. So when we get to that, we'll explain what are good flowers to offer to Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, and what are bad flowers which cannot be offered to Lord Krishna. And then there are some exceptions also. So we don't know exactly what these flowers are, but when we get to the 7th vilas, we'll understand. So number 95, use an incense holder or a ghee lamp made of iron. Iron, not particularly stainless steel or steel, but iron is considered to be a very low-class metal, and we shouldn't actually use a ghee lamp holder or an incense holder made of this metal. Put on improper tilak even mistakenly. So we shouldn't put it. Of course, we shouldn't put the horizontal tilak, which is the Shaiva tilak. But even when we put Udva Pundra, it should be very straight and very nicely put on, and we shouldn't put it on improperly, right? Offer impure objects to the Lord. Anything which is impure, which has been used by somebody else, which cannot be offered to the Lord as a second time. So we have to be very sure to keep things very clean and pure before we offer them to the Lord. Worship the Lord with a restless mind. By Buddha Shuddhi, we should try to meditate, and we should try to become peaceful before we worship the Lord. Therefore, this also means during the time of a Asaucha, if somebody has died or been born within our family or close relatives, and we're thinking about that, we should probably have the puja done by somebody else, or we should think about that very carefully and meditate very carefully on the Lord, so that our mind doesn't go astray thinking about something else while we're worshiping the Lord. We don't want to become distracted while we're worshiping the Lord. Number 99, offer obeisances with one hand or circumambulate only one time. So you shouldn't go around the Lord or the spiritual master one time. You should always do it more than one time, and you should not pay obeisances with only one hand, but two hands, right? And that's the proper way to do it. Number 100, see the Lord at inappropriate times. So the Lord is covered by a curtain when he's sleeping, when he's eating, in different times, and maybe the pujaris in the temple see the Lord at those times sometimes. But at other times, we have to close the curtain, and we have to not have any darshan of the Lord, and we shouldn't see the Lord But by the way, while they're doing an offering in a temple, when they're offering foodstuffs in a temple, you shouldn't circumambulate while the Lord is eating. That's also a rule. So, number 101, fail to chant a fixed number of rounds. If the Guru has given you a specific number of rounds or mantras to chant, then you should do that. It's a vow to the Guru, to the Lord, and therefore that should be followed. 102, reveal the initiation mantra to anyone. Well, this was discussed before, Gopayed mantra, right? We should keep it secret, and we don't want to advertise that we are great devotees or we're chanting a particular mantra or chanting a particular number of times. Number 103, make some excuse and thus fail to take advantage of the opportunity to engage in the Lord's service. So when we're chanting or we're saying to the Lord, please engage me in your service. And so when somebody comes and says to us, Prabhu, can you do this service? Can you help me do this service? Or can you serve the Lord in this way? Then we shouldn't say, no, I can't do that. I have to chant or I have to do something else. Or we shouldn't avoid the service of the Lord if it comes to us. The Lord's service will come to us and we should engage in that wholeheartedly. And the last one, 104, is disregard the remnants of Lord Vishnu. So any prasadam, either food or any other items that come from the Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, like that, we should not disrespect them or disregard them. Remember, it was stated if they become old, I think they can be discarded in water in a pure thing or a pure way, right? But we have to always have regard for the remnants of prasadam of Lord Vishnu, right? So that's the end of 104 rules, right? The spiritual master should teach these 104 rules and regulations to the disciples. All of these specific rules and regulations that some people say you have to know these and you have to follow these, otherwise you shouldn't be initiated.
Yeah, very interesting. Some of them definitely were a little interesting. I mean, in the sense that, surprising perhaps, a few of them. But
also, you have to remember this guy is translating from the Hindi, and I'm going to, if you really find one surprising, we should look at it and look at the Sanskrit and see if there's anything stated in the commentary also, because it's not always the way he translates it. Have you ever seen an initiation like that?
No. I thought it was really funny, actually.
I'm telling you, that is like Chakrabja Mandala Diksha. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced initiations like that. Firsthand.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't get to see what position. You said that usually when the Abhishek of the disciple is happening, you said that they're in a certain position, and you showed it, but I didn't see what you showed.
Oh, standing up with your hands folded like this.
Oh, okay.
Facing the deity. I can show you. Okay. I can show you a picture of me standing there and then pouring the water on top of me.
Yeah, I think you showed us that, actually. You sent the picture. It was really neat. Is that different than like Brahma was telling me, and I did it once, that you can bathe the Yajamana from a ceremony with the kumbha water at the end. Yeah. Okay, so that would be pretty similar too, huh?
That bathing of the Yajamana is more or less, it's that's a benediction, that you're doing for the Yajamana. That's not, but in different Vedic sacrifices, there are also the Yajamanas had to undergo some sort of initiation to do it. Yeah, it's there in Vedic rites also. Yeah, and some pujas and things like that. He did his Kalasarpa dosha in my backyard, and the guys bathed him in my swimming pool. I have a small tank that you can sit in, like a jacuzzi, a cold plunge. Okay. Yeah, in my backyard. It's hot in Sri Lanka. What can I say?
Tell me what that was that he did, though. What? I didn't know what that was.
He did a puja called Kalasarpa dosh. He had a Kalasarpa dosha.
That's what you were talking about before. Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end, they took the pot and I said, okay, get in my tank, because it had no water in it at the time. It was drained. And I said, okay, you get up, walk up the stairs and get in that thing, and then we'll pour the thing on top of him. And we did.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of them, well, okay, but then you said that maybe they're mistakes, because some of them almost don't seem possible to follow. And, you know, and how like, even just staying up, you know, on a Kaddishi night, I mean, how can you really, you know, practically follow that? So I guess some of them, but I don't know, are some of them then considered more important than others to follow, or
Yeah,
it's hard to
that's why
know.
you have a guru.
Oh, okay. Then you ask your guru.
He's going to tell you
Yeah.
if you can do it. No. But
Yeah.
you know, I've seen people do some pretty austere things. They stay up really late at night, and they do things like, you know, they do the Harinam Sankirtan thing for around 7 days. They do well, they sleep, but you know, they do the whole Jaidev Ashtapadis, and they do Harinam for 7 days and stuff.
Wow.
People are into it. They do a lot of austerities.
One time, I was thinking about one of them, about Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Somebody messaged me, some Indian devotees messaged me like a while back, and they said that they wanted to do installation of their Srimad Bhagavatams.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a thing? I mean, I was thinking, why would you need to install them? I was saying, you know, scripture is.
I agree with you. Why would you need to install them?
Oh, okay. That's what I told them. Yeah, they said it's a thing.
If you're gonna worship it like a deity, you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess you could do it. It's just like when you go to Loy Bazaar and you buy a deity of Krishna. It looks like Krishna, but you haven't done prana pratishtha on it.
Yeah.
Same thing as you buy the Bhagavatam, and it looks like the Bhagavatam, but you haven't read it. You haven't got into it. So okay, so maybe if you want to ritualistically worship it, there's ways of doing puja to books. So I mean, maybe you could. I don't know if you can consider. Can you consider a book to be a self-manifest deity? Maybe it's a self-manifest deity. Maybe it's not. If it's self-manifest, it's like a shalagram. You don't have to install it. But if it's not, then you have to install it. It's a good question to ask somebody. Is a shastra a self-manifest deity?
I would. I mean, in my, you know, obviously, I don't know. What do I know? But just like thinking about it, if you think that, you know, the name of the Lord, you know, there's no difference between his name and himself, and, you know, the name of the Lord is written all over Shastra, you know, then that would be my argument for saying that it probably already is installed. You know, it is like self-manifested. No, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you can make arguments either way. You know, say I've got a Bhagavad Gita. It's got a picture of Krishna on the front, therefore it's Krishna. But does that mean any picture of Krishna is a Krishna? Can we worship any picture of Krishna? We have to do installation. We have to do prana pratishtha of a picture, even if we worship a picture.
Yeah, that's a good point.
A picture is supposed to be. See, okay, if we go by the definition in Shastra in the 11th canto, 27th chapter, Krishna says there's different things that, like wood, metal, right? So one of them is paint. So is a book is painted, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's painted. So is it paint when so if it's a painted deity, what's the difference between it and a picture, right? Don't we have to install a picture? Don't we if we're going to worship a picture, we have to install it?
Yeah.
Some people say though, I have a picture of an installed deity. So isn't that picture installed?
Yeah.
So, you know, you can make arguments either way, but normally, if you have a picture, you worship it and you do prana pratishtha of it, but I know in South India they have these Radha Kalyanams and Goda Kalyanams and Srinivasa Kalyanams. They have they have a big picture in the house of Radha Krishna, and they call everybody and they worship the picture and they marry Krishna and Radha.